Welcome to week 2 of Romero, everybody. Filthy Dan joined once again by Mr. Robby Sobel, who is over there, not over there. Still trying to figure out the pointing game. But yes, week 2, we continue the journey into some of George Romero's, um, the way George Romero envisioned the end of civilization. Real quick, because knowing that Robby is the super fan, he's the Romero guy. If you have Romero questions, he's the one to go to. I just want to know, Robby, what does Dawn of the Dead mean to you?
Dawn of the Dead is one of the landmark films in the horror genre. I think it's a movie that doesn't get enough credit or respect. Um, Everyone knows Dawn and you hear it, but I think it's more people kind of just throw the name around, but they don't actually talk about the film itself. I think it's that's that zombie movie, much like they do Night. Maybe not so much about Night since Night was the first,
Right.
but there's so much to unpack within Dawn that I mean, you could just have multiple streams like this for this movie. There's so much to talk about, and it was one of a handful of movies that took me from being a horror movie fan to want to do something with film in general in my life. It was that important.
Okay, yeah, that's a really powerful statement because I mean everyone has that one film that kind of makes them feel that way, and like I could see how this would be that one because I mean it's a great horror film. It's a great film in general as far as story about people. That I mean that's always a plus there, but yeah, it's we'll get into the its ifs and us about this film.
Yes, indeed.
Um, I have a few minor nitpicks about it, but overall, I freaking absolutely adore this film. But I mean, you know my feelings about Night. Like
Yes.
Night to me is probably what this one is for you in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. I mean that it's just fucking impactful either way. I mean, the whole trilogy, as some put it,
Yeah.
is freaking amazing.
Agreed. It's nice to
Um,
see. It's nice to see that in over the last couple of years, that Day of the Dead is getting put on the level of Night and Dawn. For
oh
the
yeah,
longest time, it was like Night and Dawn were here, and Day was kind of. It wasn't really far behind, but it was more like here. Now it feels like they're all kind of put together.
oh yeah, nice little plateau there.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
was actually George Romero's favorite of all of his zombie films. He liked
eh.
that better than all of them.
Yeah, I think I remember reading something about that.
Yeah.
Like said that was his preference and the one that he was the most proud of at the end of the day. While like he was proud of them all on different levels from what I understood, but it
Yes.
was really Day that he loved the most. And I think Tom Savini said something too. I could be wrong, but I think Tom Savini said that was like some of his best work. And I
Well, no, yeah, that was his best work. That's he won a Saturn Award, I believe, for that.
yeah
Which the Saturn Awards is it's kind of like the Academy Awards for sci-fi and horror.
yeah he definitely won the Saturn for that one. That
Yeah,
I do remember reading for sure.
yeah.
But
But yeah, I mean, Dawn is it's a lot of fun. The tone of the movie is different. I think a lot. I think initially when it was released and it didn't catch on for a lot of people's because they were expecting a darker, maybe more serious film like Night is. And not saying that Dawn is not serious because it is, but there's comedic elements to it. It's a little lighter. And Romero kind of explaining that is when they made Night, it was 10 years earlier. You know, we talked about the tough civil rights issues, which were still going on in the 70s, of course, but in a different way. It was in the middle of the Vietnam War. Martin Luther King had just been killed. Bobby Kennedy had just gotten shot, all in the year that the Night was released. And I remember Romero on an interview when he spoke about that. He said, when it came to Dawn, this was 78. They made it in 76, 77. The big issues that they were all worried about 10 years prior were pretty much coming to an end. And it was 78, man. They were listening to the Bee Gees.
Oh yeah.
They were dancing, they were having fun, they were doing this and doing that.
It was like the fun feeling comes back, and it's really evident in this film too.
Yes.
Like, now that I think about it, because like, it was a really cynical period, of course, when the civil rights issue felt like it was almost a lost cause at the end of the 70s, or at the end of the 60s, I mean, early 70s. And by the end of the 70s, it's like, all right, things are getting a little better. They still kind of suck, but we're learning to accept it and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
And I'd say in a lot of ways, it's one of the more, I don't know, I find Dawn to be a little more fun 70s horror, where a lot of horror in 70s and cinema in the 70s in general, I don't know, it feels like there wasn't a lot of fun to be had per se. It was very serious take on most things throughout the decade.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen.
Romero referred to Dawn as a romp, as a comic book, which is why even they didn't really plan it this way. But the makeup on a lot of the zombies are not as detailed as it would go on to be in Day. The blood is a really bright, like a red color.
Oh yeah.
But it works because if you're trying to have more of a lighthearted kind of comic book-y, that type of special effects just happened to work. It was a happy accident. But you're right, going back to the seriousness of films in the 70s. I mean, you're talking films like Last House on the Left.
Oh
films like The Hills Have Eyes. Films like Shivers and Rabid and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and whatnot.
And like, this one's not really a horror film in the sense that we think, but it definitely has horror elements. Death Wish is it's another one that you can almost kind of put in that
Charles Bronson film. Yeah.
Yes. Like, it's not really horror at all. It's really more of a thriller of sorts, like crime thriller, revenge film.
Well, you're talking about revenge movies, right? So like after Last House, you're talking I Spit on Your Grave came out
78, I believe.
And then they have House on the Edge of the Park, which was that starred David Hess, who was Krug in Last House, and he went on to do a few movies that were very similar, kind of riding that wave. Revenge films, female kind of empowerment. What's the era? You're talking 70s. This is Burn Your Bras. This is equality. This is women coming out of the kitchen. This is, the Barbara from the Night of the Living Dead in 68 is gone. Now you're going to see, especially in this film, you'll see our main female character in this, Fran, start very weak, but then progress as the film goes on. She has a great arc where she becomes a fighter. And a lot of that is reflective of the time. This was pre-Alien, pre-Sigourney Weaver. Alien, I believe, was 79. So
it was still a year to go.
Yeah. So that type of writing in just kind of the structure of the characters in the film is reflective of what's going on at the time. And, the end of the 70s, man, we're not going to take shit anymore. Women are giving the big fuck you to the man. And in a lot of cases, rightfully so, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. That's it. That's kind of the evolution of Romero's films in general. And Romero didn't even want to make this movie at first.
Really?
Yeah, we'll get into all that once we start the stream. I don't want to burn all the facts before we hit play.
That's a good point. All right, so if Robbie's ready, I'm ready. If y'all have your copies ready, we are. At the moment, it might be different on some versions, but it all
starts off with the red background.
It's right at the red background. For mine, it's at 1 second in.
Yeah.
It might be 0 for some of y'all, but that's where we are, is on that beautiful red. And I only recently realized that is a shag carpet wall.
It is, yes.
I used to think it was fucking like brick or plaster or something for a while. For the longest time, I could have swore that's what it was.
Yeah.
So I recently learned something, folks.
There you go. First time for everything.
It was like my last time I watched. I'm like, wait a second, it's carpeting.
That's it.
All right. So on the count of go, we will hit this bad boy.
Yeah.
We will go 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right.
Are in motion.
See, it says in association with Claudio Argento. That's him and Dario were the big financial backers in the film. Without them, the film wouldn't have gotten done. One of the conditions was that Dario Argento would be able to cut the film for international markets in Europe, specifically in Italian. Italian films. If you're a fan of them, a fan of giallos, there's a certain structure to them that American films don't have. So
right.
when Dario got to cut this film, he cut out it was close to a half hour of footage. A lot of it mostly just character moments, a lot of the humor that he didn't think would translate from the American film to Italian and European audiences. There's George and his wife, Chris.
Yep. Yeah, I was getting ready to point that out too.
Yeah, his wife at the time. He always kind of throws a cameo here and there in some of his films.
It was definitely much more recognizable this time around than he was in Night.
Yeah. I love these two reporters. They actually got together prior to the filming. George didn't even tell them to do it. They just said, they wanted to make sure it was authentic, and they ran through their lines privately. And it comes out perfect because this is, like you said, this is 78. So this is, 45 years ago almost. And that's exactly what you see on cable news today.
Oh, yeah.
The fighting back and forth. Romero's movies, I think, this being towards the top of the list, one reason why they're so timeless is because even if you watch it and the fashion is outdated and things like that, the themes aren't. The themes are just as relevant today as they were back in 78, and in a lot of ways, unfortunately, sometimes even more relevant. Not many filmmakers can say that.
That is true.
Just to kind of put a bow on the Argento thing, he released his own cut of the film. It's called either the Argento cut or the European cut. It's about a half hour or so shorter. If you like a little faster paced film and you just want to see kind of more action and less character building and story building, that might be the version for you. The one that we're watching is the U.S. theatrical version. It is the version that Romero preferred. There is no official director's cut, despite some versions of the movie having director's cut incorrectly written on there. This is the version that Romero wanted people to see. This is the version to watch. I tell people, watch this. Don't watch any other one. This is it. There are fan edits that you can find. One called the Mall Cut, which is pretty much all the footage from the theatrical, from the extended producer's cut that was released in the Cannes Film Festival together, just merged anything that was uncut and just kind of fleshed out. And it's cool to watch if you just want to see all the footage available, but it is a little lengthy. This is the way to go.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and that's one I was actually wanting to see just because of how long it was. I always thought, because I had a little a run-in phase, if you will, where it's like, no, I don't want to watch the theatrical cut. I want to watch as extended of a version of the film as I could find.
Of course.
And that was just one version that I couldn't get my hands on, but this theatrical one's almost long enough as is. I mean, 2 hours.
2 hours. I think it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2 hours and 7 minutes or something.
And it's still really not that long compared to certain films, but
no.
It, like, coming off of Night of the Living Dead, this is certainly feels like a chore.
Longer,
It feels like a chore by comparison.
Yeah. Well, night. I mean, was only a little over an hour and a half, and a lot of that was probably, I mean, they didn't have a lot of money. Film
Right.
cost a lot, and telling the story of Night is pretty much completely isolated to a cabin, where this, you know, you have this news station scene, and then they move to the apartment complex. And then they go to the mall, but then in the mall, there's a million places to go in the mall. And then you have the big scene with the bikers at the end and all this. So you can't do this movie in an hour and a half and do it justice.
Oh, that
There's
is
too
so
much
true.
going on. And I think that's what the European cut kind of, it hurts it because it just slices it too much. That's another reason why I think a lot of these films in the 70s, you know, even just kind of isolating it down to Romero movies, he was the writer, he was the director, he was the editor. He had his hands on everything. And
His film all the way through.
yeah, so a lot of times it's tough when, you know, you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen trying to put out one product. Obviously, when people work together as a team and they can get done, and it happens all the time. But if somebody has a singular vision and they are a master craftsman, and they're able to see it through the entire way, I prefer that.
Yeah, I do prefer that. I think it's an auteur is what they call that.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be all
Fancy.
pompous or anything, but
yeah,
I'm always a fan of that auteur approach where it's like, this is my vision. We're not going to see it unless it's as I see it.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just want to address the folks here in the chat real quick. We got Sexy Monkey. That is a freaking awesome name. Gonna be 45 in July. Happy birthday, buddy.
Point this out really quick. We're gonna see that this guy here goes on this lengthy racist tirade.
Oh yeah,
and which would never go over well today. But there's a scene here where you're gonna see a man come out of the building, right? Not here. You'll see he's a darker. He's supposed to be a Puerto Rican. You'll see here in a moment. I believe he's got a red bandana. See a moment.
This gentleman here,
right there. Yeah, with red bandana. See that guy?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who that is because I know that's somebody, and
okay, yeah, and he's not a Puerto Rican. His name is John Amplis. He was the star of Martin. He was Martin.
Which is an interesting film, by the way.
I love it. I actually have a review for it on my channel, Reviews and Rankings with Robby Sobel. If you would like to
go and check it out, folks. Link in the description below.
John Amplis was also one of the scientists in Day of the Dead, and he also plays in. If you've ever seen Creepshow.
Not in a long time. I have. It's been a minute since I've seen
like a dead corpse that comes back to life in Creepshow. I wanted to point it out. I know I want to go back to the chat, but I wanted to point that out before we.
Yeah, see, like that's the funny thing, though. I knew he was somebody important to
Romero,
like really relevant with the Romero verse, if you will.
A lot of movies, especially in his early days, he intertwines. This whole apartment scene is crazy.
Oh yeah.
This is all. See the big head explosion.
Yeah, and you were saying earlier too, real quick, about how it's very comic book like.
Yeah.
Like as this film goes on, I'm just trying to picture certain shots being just isolated to a panel in a comic book, and
yeah,
I can kind of make more sense of it in that respect.
Oh, absolutely. That headshot that we saw before, they actually just threw anything they could in this plaster head. That wasn't even used for that. Originally, the ending of the film was going to be Galen Ross, who plays Fran. Her head was supposed to it was supposed to be a big explosion of her head, and she was supposed to die. And they decided not to have that happen. And instead, with that head that they used for that, they ended up putting it in the beginning of this movie. Fran was supposed to die by sticking her head into a helicopter blade. But George didn't want a down ending. He said, enough people died that, wanted to make them live.
Interesting.
But yeah, creepy stuff though. I'm happy he made that decision.
Oh yeah.
Because like I'm a big believer that in horror movies, I don't like it when they have happy endings all the time.
Right.
But I don't really consider this a happy ending. Like 2 people survived, and that's great. But like the world is still fucked up.
Oh yeah.
They're just kind of living to fight in another day. So it's kind of hovers between, yeah, it's got some happiness to it, but not really.
Okay. I think I do remember that Sexy Monkey. Spoke briefly on Trenchy's stream with them a few weeks back. Yeah, I think I do remember that. It's just being live so freaking much, tend to forget who you're talking to and when it was, But yes, we do have crew member in here
All right.
keeping the wrench strong. Chad Sumner stirring his freaking spoons again. Bert, I saw you in here somewhere. Bert, where are you at?
Look at that arm bite. This poor young kid.
Oh man.
See, as much violence and gore that you see in this movie, I'm glad that they didn't show that young kid killing himself, because
Right.
the sound of it and the look on Roger's face is all you need. Roger's played by Scott Reidinger. I always forget how to pronounce his last name. But just that reaction shot is all you need. That's more powerful than just seeing the kid's head blown up, I think.
Oh yeah.
Because
yeah,
you see a few minutes prior, you saw Roger talking with this kid, trying to reassure the kid that everything's going to be okay. And you could see the look in his face. He was just heartbroken. And that's Ken Faree as Peter. Ken Faree, people will know him for a lot of stuff, man. He was in a lot of Rob Zombie movies. He was the father in Kenan and Kel in the 90s.
That's a throwback.
Yeah. He's done a lot.
He is horror royalty, and that is putting it mildly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Rob Zombie movies, that's definitely a sure way to get I don't want to say younger viewers, but it's definitely a way to get younger horror fans to know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's Joe Grizzly.
That's it.
He's Charlie the Pimp from Devil's Rejects. Come on.
That's right.
But yeah, usually if I see his name attached to a film, that's plenty enough reason for me to want to check it out.
I love this blind preacher, the blind priest. Anytime that you can kind of subtly add religious elements, and I'm not like a big religious person, but when you add these kind of religious elements into a film like this, I think there's something a little unsettling about it.
Oh, easily.
And this priest kind of comes out and tells them, do what you want now, do what you got to do, and it's just kind of upsetting.
Yeah, one thing I really like here, I never really noticed it before, the amount of acting that, I forget the actor's name already, but Roger, the way he's acting with his eyes.
Yes.
That's one thing I really like, is if you can act without saying a word,
mm-hmm.
like you move your eyes just the right way.
Oh, yeah.
It really says a lot more than words can.
One of the best parts of this movie is taking your 4 central characters, remembering how they were when you first see them, and then follow them through the character arc that they all go through. So you take Roger, for instance. First time you see him, he's optimistic, he's positive, he's trying to tell this young kid everything's going to be okay. we got this. And as this movie goes along, he slowly loses his faith in that. And as he loses his faith and optimism, his downward spiral mentally occurs. And eventually it leads to his demise. So you see him and he's kind of cool, calm, and collected. But by the end, he's gone.
Right.
And I think all four characters in this are a representation of how people would really act in a situation like this. Peter here, for the most part, remains focused, and he's a strong character. He's presented that way. And even when shit hits the fan, he figures out a way to kind of make it work. You have Roger, unfortunately, like we talked about, can't keep it together. Mentally, he's just not strong enough. He's gone through too much, and he can't get back on track. You're going to see our two other characters who meet up with them, Fran and her either fiance or husband, Steven.
Flyboy. Yeah.
They call Flyboy, the one who can work the helicopter. You know, Flyboy is a weak kind of a wuss, and he's not as strong and tough as Peter and Roger are. But at the end of the day, he finds a way to be as tough as he can, and he kind of straddles this fence of is he going to be able to handle this or not? Is he going to be able to protect Fran? And even though at the end of the day he meets his demise is different than Roger's is, where Roger is not able to control and make that next kind of step forward. Flyboy kind of sacrifices himself for the rest of the group. And then Fran, you see, as someone who's unsure and scared, but becomes very tough. So, you know, you see a lot. I'm a big zombie movie fan. I have, 30, 40, 50 zombie movies.
Right.
You know, and
That's
a lot of them are just, let's have a couple of characters. Let's have some fun, blood and guts. You know, you have a group of people. Most of them die. One or two survive. We call it a day. But a lot of times you don't really see much character progression. Maybe if you're lucky, you get one or two. But this movie and Romero's movies in general, the characters are the lifeblood of the story, and then he kind of surrounds them with these hints of social and political commentary, and that's what stands out, you know, among the endless zombie films that are out there, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. We got Aiden Vavra. I hope I'm saying that right. Hello, everybody. Just got done watching Land of the Dead. What a fun film.
Love Land.
It
Land
is
incredibly underrated.
And I think that it's starting to get its appreciation too, where it's kind of sad that it took Day a lot longer to get its recognition, but it's nice to see that they're both getting that bit of recognition. Of course, we're on Dawn a couple steps back. But yeah,
we'll get there.
Yes, we are definitely going to hit that one. And yeah, this quick series was something I had in my mind for a while, and it just sucks that February is really the only month that it works with. One, because it's George Romero's birth month, and I mean, look at the name of the series. It's practically a pun that I could not resist. It's like Romero. There's got to be a way I could put Romero's name into the month and combine the two. I'm like, Romero. I'm like, I hope to gosh that his birthday falls in February, and of course it did. And it's like, well, this is a series that just made itself. But there's only 4 weeks in February, so very limited with what can be done. Perhaps if Robby's so inclined as to jump on next year, we can kind of plan it out a little better and get more done with Romero.
Yeah, man.
Either way, Romero 2022 will happen.
That's right. I'm sure we'll have some good ones in there. You know, he's got a lot. But like we were talking about earlier, like George didn't even want to do this movie because he really didn't want to get originally pigeonholed as a horror director at all, and then he really didn't want to be put as like doing just zombie movies. So after Night came out in '68, it made them money through the initial theatrical run, but unfortunately, they didn't have the correct copyright on it, so they didn't make nearly as much money as they should have. So he ends up releasing a few other movies, Season of the Witch, There's Always Vanilla, which are interesting but not highlight moments. In '73, he wrote, directed, edited the original The Crazies, which I love. It's a fantastic movie. That probably does, once again, it's another movie that deserves some more attention. That got remade, I think, in 2010. Fun remake, but that kind of felt more like a generic infection zombie movie. It didn't have all those Romero elements that I prefer. I'm actually working on an article where I compare the original and remake of The Crazies. And then in mid 70s or 74, 75, Romero got together with an old college friend who invited him to check out the Monroeville Mall in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His friend worked for a company who managed the mall, and that's how he was able to get access to shooting there. Because at the time, there wasn't, these big malls all over the country. It was relatively a new thing. So what they were able to do is that when the mall closed, from the time the mall closed to the time the mall opened, that's when they did all the shooting. So everybody worked overnight.
Okay, yeah. Like I remember because I was looking at the little pamphlet that came with this, the little booklet insert, and like I was just kind of skimming through it real quick, just to kind of try and brush up on some things. But that's one factoid that stuck out was just getting a good deal hanging out at the mall and just using it for nights.
Yeah.
Like I heard the story is they had a lot of fun cleaning it up before they had to open the mall in the morning.
Yeah. You're going to see a scene here. See Ken Faree, Peter. It's kind of just playing around, and you are going to see two children pop up, two zombie kids. Believe they were nephews of either George or Savini. I know Ken Faree said he really didn't like this moment, though. He thought it was weird having to shoot the kids.
Yeah.
But you're going to see coming up pretty soon, too, you're going to see a really cool makeup effect. That was, of course, by Tom Savini, who was the head of this. Him and just a couple of friends that kind of took care of it. Savini acted, he did stunts, he did makeup. He's kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to working on Romero's films.
Oh, yeah.
But the helicopter kill.
Yes. Real quick, just want to address this one because I seem to have missed the earlier form of this comment. Don't know if you saw my earlier comment. Here it is again. I actually do own all the Dead films. That's a good investment right there.
Yep.
But never actually watched them. Definitely worth checking out. For all these decades, out of fear, horror does disturbing. Well, that's kind of what horror's supposed to do, sexy monkey man.
That's it, man.
It's supposed to make you feel a bit unsettling, and for a lot of people, I find that the disturbance factor you get from horror is a really, really fun feeling. Yeah. It just plays with your endorphins or something like that. I was trying to sound scientific, but it's something like that. And this is a comment you might like, Robbie.
What was that?
Aiden says, I love all of Romero. He's a rare director, celebrates all the films, Creepshow, Bruiser, Martin, Night Riders, all favorites of Aiden.
You know what? I want to give him a shout out because his icon there is of the main character in Bruiser. There's a movie that people don't talk about enough.
Yeah, I thought I recognized that image because I think when you were showing me your Romero collection, I think you pulled that one out.
I'm going to grab it for you. I'm sure Aiden will appreciate it.
Crazies is awesome and prefers the original to the remake.
Here is a little custom-made piece for Bruiser.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got the mask and kind of, so you can see with the blood on the side, just like that. I figured why not? It'd be kind of fun. And it's my hero section, my Romero in my room here.
You and me both, crew. You and me both, buddy. Gotta see that original Crazies.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where, I think a lot of people that I talk to, they'll prefer the original. Oh, here, real quick. This zombie is actually the one that's on the cover of all the posters and all the movies. Look at that.
Yeah, and like, for my money, that he's easily the coolest looking zombie in the film.
Oh, yeah, like I'll show, this is a good time to show him off. This is the VHS copy of Dawn. Then we have the Ultimate Edition DVD set that has 3 copies of the film and a bonus disc. A standalone Blu-ray from Anchor Bay.
That's the one I got on DVD.
Yeah, this is the most recent big release from Second Sighting. This is a 4K release. It's basically everything in the Ultimate Edition, just upgraded and then new stuff added, and the novelization here. So, big fan. But yeah, it's great to see someone shout out Bruiser and Martin, both fantastic stuff. Great.
And if you don't like that, well, there's always vanilla, folks.
That's it, man.
I have been waiting for the right moment to just throw that out there as a little joke. Like, it's going to come up. I don't know when, but it's going to find a way. But, yeah, no, I always thought that the helicopter zombie here had actually just passed, but I always thought that he was kind of weird looking, and a lot of it I didn't realize had to do with just the size of the actor's forehead. And
oh yeah. If you actually see him on interviews, he has a giant forehead.
I love how they just took artistic advantage of that. Like, you know what? Fuck it, why not? We'll do that and take a little off the top there for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that kind of reminds me a little bit of Raiders of the Lost Ark whenever they hit the guy with the propellers there. Except I think it was a little plane in Raiders. But still reminds me very much of that. Like, I just couldn't help but be reminded of that. Hey, Chris, how's it going, buddy?
All
Good
right,
to see you. How'd your show go with Matt, man? I didn't catch the whole bit of it, but you guys were kicking ass over there tonight.
I'll be joining Chris and Matt, both of them, later on this month. That's gonna be fun.
We got you in high demand this month, don't we?
Yeah, sheesh. I don't have any Valentine's Day for February, but who needs a Valentine's Day when I have my horror buddies, man?
Damn right.
Fuck.
Damn right.
And I don't have to get you any presents and gifts and give you any extra love,
Oh yeah, you're in an economic plus. Or damn it, I said that wrong. You're in a great position economically speaking if you're single on Valentine's Day.
I just get my kids a couple of things. My daughter's my Valentine, and that's it. It's funny that we made that we're doing Dawn, because yesterday I got one of those Facebook reminders, and it was from a couple of years ago. My daughter wearing one of my long Dawn of the Dead shirts, and she's holding up the Blu-ray package.
Hell yeah!
Funny, guys, this was yesterday. I go, man, what great timing!
That is. Been a long time coming, Robbie. Can't wait to have you on, says Chris.
That's it, man. We're going to be talking 1970s horror. So we'll be talking a little Dawn and expanding on some of those other films that you and I talked about a few minutes back.
Yes, I'm very excited to see that one. And I was trying for us to not go too much into the 70s horror. It's like, wait.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing this with Chris. Don't.
I can talk for hours about that, man. So
I'm
looking forward to it. Chris does a good job on his channel with his whole team. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're killing it over there at the House of the Living Dead.
That's it.
Um, if you want to know the secret to his success, the answer is do a House of Wax watch party. That seems to be the winning factor over there.
Winning formula, right?
Yep, that one. I don't know. It's an anomaly in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's got like, I don't know, going up to like 10K views, 100K. I stopped counting it after a while. Like, this video is just climbing absurdly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty insane there. It was like, out of our whole group, he's just soaring up. It's like almost 100 a week there for a while. It seemed like damn, dude. But
That's so much fun that they were able to literally just do this on locations, not a set. You couldn't build a set like this, for the money that they had.
real quick, I got you, crew member. Our timestamp is 30:42.
Yes.
They're
Perfect.
getting into the stock area of the mall, the little apartment that they make.
Yeah, they're boarding up the doors with all the boxes.
Franny's sitting down next to Roger. Flyboy's crashed out in the corner somewhere. Real quick, Aiden wants to know, Robbie, what Romero film deserves more attention?
I'm gonna go Martin and Bruiser. Those are the two that I think I would pluck out first. There's more, but those are the two that I would focus on. Bruiser came out in 2001 and it was released, I think it was October of 2000. It was right after 9/11. So it was low budget and it was marketed like it would be like a slasher. Like Romero was going to do this bloody, gory slasher. It's not it. It feels more like an American Psycho type of feel.
Okay.
Where it's kind of like a psychological revenge film. So I think people were expecting something different, and it was also during a time where studios weren't going to put big money behind a movie like that, considering what was going on. So right. It had a lot going against it, but I definitely would recommend that. And then of course Martin, you can find free on YouTube. You just George Romero, Martin, boom, and it's right there. So
yes,
Bruiser might be a little more difficult to find. I think Bruiser you can actually find on Tubi, I think, unless they took it off. But I'm pretty sure it's available on Tubi. So there you go. If that's the case, won't cost you anything to watch either of them.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. Martin was Romero's favorite of all of his movies. I got a chance to meet him in Halloween weekend in 2015, and then we actually talked about that movie. I was lucky enough to go right as they opened up, and there was only one other person in front of me who only spent about 30 seconds with him, and there was nobody behind me. So I had extra time, luckily, to talk to George Romero. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that is I'm not jealous of many things, but that is an encounter I can honestly and shamelessly say, yeah, I'm a tad bit jealous of. It would have been awesome to have met Romero. Like, just seeing his character come across in interviews.
Oh, he's just like that too. Total gentleman.
Like, he just seems like the funnest person to talk to, and of course that voice too, that gravelly. Hey, I smoke a lot, but damn, I'm a great fucking person to talk to. Like that scratchy tone in his voice. It's like,
that's right.
I don't know, something very welcoming about it.
Agreed.
That fucking smile too, man. But Matt,
look at so you'll see this one they call him the elevator zombie, as the escalator zombie. You'll see as he kind of goes up this escalator, and he's got this wacky old face. So many of these zombies who had one little scene here or there. The nurse zombie, same her. The Hare Krishna zombie, they all appear at conventions. Man, imagine you get this one scene.
This tiny
and you go
freaking
to these
bit roll.
conventions and you get good money getting autographs and pictures. There's the escalator zombie. And, more power to him, right?
Oh, yeah. And real quick, I don't know why the thought just crossed my head, but are you a fan of the movie Mallrats by any chance, Robbie?
Love Kevin Smith.
So, you know how they've been talking about Mallrats 2 and maybe doing like Die Hard in a mall? I'm thinking, no. Yeah. What you got to do, since Kevin Smith has been honing the horror world, basically make Mallrats Dawn of the Dead.
He loves
Mallrats 2.
He's had little Easter eggs to films like that. I know in Zack and Miri Make a Porno, the hockey jersey that Jeff Anderson, who plays Randall in the Clerks movies, wears it's like the Monroeville Zombies or something like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Clerks 3, man, they're gonna be filming it soon.
I'm freaking stoked for that, man.
I love it. Of all his movies, the Clerks movies are the ones I always gravitated to, because a lot of his other stuff was like really kind of like based, I guess, just like partying and smoking. I don't know anything about that. I don't do any of that stuff, so I can be entertained by it, but I can't relate. But I can relate to working in fucking retail and dealing with shitty ass customers every day.
Yes.
So like Randall is like, if I had to like pluck out like a couple of characters in movies who I feel like I personally relate to or have my personality, like he's right there. Like Randall and Clerks, Seth and Superbad, the penis vagina kid in Kindergarten Cop, and ultimately above everything else, Peter Venkman, Bill Murray's character in Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Like, you merge all four of those together, like, that would be me. So,
that's Robbie.
There you go.
I still got the pointing wrong. It's like I'm pointing at you on the screen, but I'm not pointing theatrically in the right direction. See, he got it first go.
That's it.
But I don't know. I really don't like the blue gray skin on these zombies.
Well, they were all supposed to be gray, but depending on the lighting, it showed up differently. Which, yeah, I mean, it does. It's not nearly as good as what you see in Day, but you can kind of forgive it when you think about it being kind of like that comic book romp fun. It's a little bit more forgivable. There's a scene coming up here that was added after the fact, because you'll see Roger has a shirt around him, tied, jacket. And then later on he doesn't, and they never had kind of a reason for why his jacket is gone from his waist. And like, it would just mess up the continuity.
Right.
Well, eventually he ends up tying it. So, there you go. I think this is what you'll see. You'll see him kind of, I think this is when he does it. See, there you go. Okay. So what they end up having to do is you'll see soon he gets attacked by a zombie that rips off the jacket, because they were noticed that in one scene he's running with a jacket, and then they cut like literally to like a next take and the jacket's gone.
Yeah, it looked like right there in that passing shot, like it wasn't on his waist there.
Yeah.
It's there right now.
And I love their reaction to this, because this goes back to like the movie being kind of comical in ways. Like, these zombies are right there and they're just kind of fucking around.
Right. Sliding down the freaking panel there.
They actually, people were doing that constantly in the malls after this. That at that mall they actually changed the way the escalator was, so you couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the golden rule of the escalator is you were supposed to fear and respect it.
My father would always tell me that if I didn't step over, that I would get sucked in. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s where I actually let my feet go and do it. Psychologically, I couldn't do it. It was like there was like a mental block, the fear that my father struck in me.
Yeah, I remember being told that same thing too as a kid, man, and it fucked me up. It fucked me up more than most things.
Yeah,
like a lot of the stuff parents tell you as a kid, it it fucks with you as an adult when you hear the real reasoning and stuff later on. But the escalator was one that always really stuck with and really messed with my head.
Absolutely.
Terrified of him for the longest time. It's like right as I'm getting over him, Final Destination 4 comes out and has that gnarly scene with the escalator. It's like, really?
That's
right,
it.
right as I'm getting over these. Even though Dawn is my favorite film of all time, some of the zombies' makeup is not the best, lol, but they did improve with Day of the Dead.
Big time.
100%. I think the Day of the Dead zombies look better than what I've seen on The Walking Dead. I haven't watched that show a whole lot, but what I've seen...
It's funny to mention that because the people that do the makeup for Walking Dead, K&B Effects, it's Greg Nicotero's like the main guy, and he was taught by Tom Savini. He worked as an assistant to Tom Savini on Day of the Dead.
Okay, awesome.
He did a lot of George's movies, a lot of movies afterwards, so it all kind of ties in. Like there's been some zombies on The Walking Dead that are, like nods to Romero's movies.
Okay, yeah, because I haven't seen enough of Walking Dead to where I would be able to point that out.
I stopped in the middle of season 7. It just got kind of just lost me.
Very rinse repeat after a while, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I caught like bits and pieces of different seasons, and it's like, I don't know, you skip like 5 episodes and you're totally thrown off, and if you keep doing that...
Yeah, you have to really be dedicated.
Like
This is rough here. Like this just shows the inexperience of Flyboy in comparison to Peter and Roger. Because he's in this boiler room and he's shooting off a gun and it's ricocheting off of everything. It could come back and freaking kill you.
Right.
And Roger and Peter are finding ways to dodge dozens of zombies, and poor Flyboy's got one and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
The way Roger comes out of that fucking store there. Of course, you got to do the intense gun won't fire bit.
That's it. Got him.
That zombie kind of looked like a mix of John Carl Buechler and Howard Berger from K&B there for a second.
That's funny.
Definitely looked like Buechler when he started rocking the toupee.
Yeah. There's some. I'll tell you. We can kind of poke a little fun at the makeup of the zombies, but man, there's some good gore that really does love. We saw the earlier head explosion and then the bite on the wife's the wife's arm or neck.
Yep.
Look at Peter. Just you know how strong you have to be to literally pick somebody up like that.
Oh yeah, and
just
considering
obviously it's a mannequin, a dummy, but it looks good.
Yes, crew, he did answer this, but for the hell of it, let's go again. Favorite cut of this film?
The one that we're watching, the U.S. theatrical. That's the Romero cut. That's the version he wanted people to see. He was actually the editor on this movie, so he cut the movie in the way that he wanted it to be. There's longer versions, and there's reasons why he cut things out. There's a shorter version that Dario Argento cut for the Italian markets that cut out a lot of character moments. And, this movie is built on these 4 main characters. And to cut so much out from their character development and their arc does a disservice to the movie, in my opinion. And I love Argento, one of my favorite directors. I have every film that he's ever made. And he's made some great ones. But it's just tough when you are trying to edit somebody else's work. Here's the scene there. See here? That's the guy that rips off his shirt that's around his waist. He grabs the screwdriver here. this guy actually gets a lot of money. Not I won't say a lot of money, but it gets a lot of attention at the conventions. So you'll see the screwdriver to the ear.
And like the blood too, real quick, I just gotta say, I've kind of started to turn around with the blood, having watched a couple giallos, seeing that that's kind of the same.
Yeah,
It looks like the same mix of blood they use for those, so I'm
very
kind of
bright
starting
red.
to forgive that.
Yeah.
But in the context of being an American-made horror film, that blood was rough for a while. It's like,
Oh, it
it's
was.
too
Yeah.
red.
A lot of it. I mean, after I read a lot and saw those interviews with Romero where he talked about it, kind of having a little bit lighter of a tone. It's supposed to be more of a fun film. Maybe it's just me trying to make it work, but yeah.
Oh,
Got a question here. Ooh,
off topic, but favorite Italian dish? That is a good question, Matt.
rigatoni alla vodka with meatballs and chicken, pepper crusted chicken. Rigatoni alla vodka is good, man. It's creamy and it's heavy, but it's good.
Yeah, I haven't had that a whole lot, but that's definitely a good one there. Like, I'm not very picky, honestly. Like, fucking pasta primavera is one that I really like. I'm a sucker for fucking different variants of the pastas.
It makes me sad though, because being having an Italian family, I have to watch it with dairy, so that means cheese. I get like allergic. I get my allergies go crazy and stuff.
Oh man.
So yeah, I remember like two weeks ago I had my kids over and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I want. We're getting pizza, and I had 3 slices of pizza.
Oh,
the whole day. The next day I was down for the count. I was like a zombie in this movie.
dude.
I was done, and it's so I don't even like talking about it. It upsets me.
The only thing worse than being an Italian who can't eat cheese or dairy in general is being a Wisconsinite. Did I say that right?
I think
anyway, being an Italian in Wisconsin with lactose irritation.
Yeah, it's rough.
That would suck. Because it's rough, like the air would make you sick up there.
Yeah, it's rough. It's terrible. Luckily I don't get any stomach issues, but I'm sneezing like a mother.
Whew.
Yeah, rough stuff.
What's your thoughts on the 2004 remake? Aiden wants to know.
I have a lot of fun with it. I think it's a fun action horror movie. I think it moves. It moves well. It's just it's a good time. Popcorn movie. It's fun. I think this movie is a lot better. I think it's a lot more historically significant. I think it's a lot deeper. I think you get to the characters in this movie. Like, these 4 characters have huge arcs. They all experience big time arcs. You really only get 1, maybe 2 characters in the new one that has that. That was the big problem, I think, with the new one. There's so many characters. There's too many people that you don't get enough time to really feel for anybody.
Right.
The cast is just too big. I think the only real big arc in the movie is CJ, kind of that asshole security guy who ends up sacrificing himself at the end. But everybody else in the movie, while they're good characters, fine. They're all kind of the same from in the beginning and at the end. There's not much of a changeover. But I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think it's one of the better remakes that have come out, kind of post 2000. I kind of always put it at around 2003 when the Texas Chainsaw remake came out.
Yeah.
And then that made a shit ton of money, and then you just got all the horror remakes. But yeah, the Dawn remake it's a lot of fun. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, that's a tough question for me. I mean, like, being that I'm a few years younger, that was the first one that I saw was the 2004 version.
Yeah,
and I freaking love that movie. Unabashedly love the Dawn of the Dead remake.
It's a lot of fun, man.
As much as I love this one,
yeah,
I mean, watching that one really made me want to check this one out, and like just kind of because I realized, wait, this is a remake of an older movie. Because
Yeah.
I mean, you hear the song by House of Pain, "Jump Around." It's talking about the dawn of the dead. It's like, wait, if this song is older than this movie,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
there's something else, Dawn of the Dead, out there. And of
Yeah.
course, seeing it at the video
Two totally
store.
different type of movies, though, right?
Oh yeah, like I find the point I was trying to make is as much as I enjoy this one,
Yeah.
I I find myself going back to the 2004 one just a little more because it's I don't know. I find that it's a little easier to watch, and
It
I
is.
mean, you pointed out CJ. CJ is low key the main character of that film.
Yeah.
Like we don't know it, but he's the main character.
He's the one that has the big arc.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a lot faster paced, right?
Oh yeah.
And where listen, this movie is there's a lot going on in the movie we're watching now. But I think there's a lot more layers of depth to it, where the remake you can kind of just sit back and watch and not think too much. You can just enjoy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just enjoy it, and that's great. But it definitely is an easier flow, I think,
Oh yeah.
as far as just kind of throwing a movie on to watch.
And
But you know, the remake of Dawn, it doesn't even have to. It didn't even have to be called Dawn of the Dead. The only thing it has in common is the mall. You could
yeah,
have put it somewhere else, and it would be a completely different movie. And that was a smart move. The best remakes, I think, take a core idea, maybe one or two things from the original, and then they do its own thing. That's why the Texas Chainsaw remake became so popular, right? All right, kids traveling into Texas, they meet a crazy family, Leatherface is in the family. None of the characters are the same, right? The rest of the family is completely different.
oh yeah.
All the protagonists that we follow are completely different. And I think that's what makes a remake good. Get that central idea, maybe one or two things that are from the original, and then move forward.
Yeah, I mean,
just
it's funny.
making a note here. Fran here is going to tell Flyboy that she's pregnant, and just to show you how 1970s it is, Peter mentions here to Flyboy. He goes, "Do you want to get an abortion? I know how to do it." It's like, wait a minute. What do you mean you know how to do it? Like,
it's like
it was like Peter, like a back alley abortionist, like in his previous life.
Like I'm sure people today would probably be like, "Wait, so he's like a doctor and a SWAT officer?" It's
so
like no,
it is
like
wild, isn't it?
it's like no.
Like he works at Planned Parenthood to make ends meet.
It's like, you know that place Peter sells hangers in the
crazy.
back alley down on 5th Street? That's where you can find them. They don't sell hangers, by the way.
Yeah.
But damn, Robbie, cheese is the best. That's not nice, Matt.
What he said.
So, damn, Robbie, cheese is the best. Yes, it is, but
yeah.
Oh, Matt, what are we gonna do with you, buddy? See, they're talking about Argento here in the chat. Aiden says Argento is the man. Suspiria, Tenebrae, Phenomena, Deep Red, Inferno, Mother of Tears, all favorites.
That's right.
Phenomena was one I really enjoyed.
That was interesting. Bird with the crystal plumage is excellent. You know what, people shit on his newer movies or his later films, but Sleepless is really good. The Stendhal syndrome is another one that's badass. And no one talks about The Card Player, but I dig it too. So Argento's done a lot of great stuff throughout his career. Really cool. Luckily, I went during the quarantine last year. I kind of filled in all the holes in my collection of Argento films that I hadn't seen, and now I have them all now. And what a master he is, Argento's great stuff.
Opera was one of his
Yeah.
I like. Like I haven't seen a lot of Argento,
Mm-hmm.
but Opera was one that I really enjoyed. Just something about the way the killer would put the needles right there in the girl's eye and just have her watch people get killed
Oh,
off. But there
great
was just,
stuff! Great stuff. There's a shot like in like the auditorium that like it looks like I don't even know what kind of camera it's on. It's like the swinging camera.
oh yeah, that's the opening shot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was freaking insane, man.
Yep.
Like it's been a minute since I've seen that, but I watched that one during quarantine and I really enjoyed it.
He's a
I
badass.
really, really enjoyed it. God, those poor car zombies, though.
There's one here. I don't know if we missed it. Where you see where I don't think we missed it yet. Where the big trucks are hitting the zombies. If you pause it, look at it. Well, that's a large man. There's a scene where you can see a zombie kind of fly in the air, and you can in that slight little scene you can see the trampoline that he's jumping off of. Like you pause it, it's right there. A lot of this stuff, I've never been to the Monroeville Mall. A lot of the stuff is gone now. The ice skating rink is gone. A lot of the stuff is not there. They do have a George Romero bust. And I believe in the mall they actually have a Living Dead museum store. I believe it's right at the mall now, recently. You can get George Romero stuff. You see that guy on the TV there, Richard? That's Richard. Richard Liberty. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Or Richard. I'm gonna make sure. Not Richard Liberty. I'm gonna make sure I get the correct name.
He was in the Night of the Living Dead, wasn't he?
No, not him. He was in the Crazies. He was a scientist in the. Want to make sure I get the correct name. I believe it's Richard Liberty. Not Richard Liberty. No, there's another guy.
Really,
he was in the Crazies, and he did a few other stuff.
Real quick, Chris says that he really enjoys the remake quite a bit, but the original has its place too. That almost sounds undecided, but that's kind of how I am on it too, Chris. It's kind of like,
yeah,
the answer could really change on a given day for me.
Technically, Mario... you know what? Real quick, you were technically right. His name was Richard France, so I had it right the second time. He was in the Crazies. He had this cameo here in Dawn, and technically, he was in Night of the Living Dead. He was uncredited as a zombie, so technically, you were right.
Okay, that's like a Hail Mary of the longest yardage right there.
What's that question we have here in the chat?
Crew member says his favorite giallo is Mario Bava's Blood and Black Lace from '64. Any thoughts on it?
If you like that movie, buy this one right here. The Blood and Black Lace Arrow Blu-ray release. It is absolutely fantastic. Not only does it have a great, look at that, such a cool cover.
Yeah, that one I want to see because I've seen the image of the killer from that film and
it's a beautiful transfer. 3 discs. It's got a lot of special features, not just on this movie, but about giallos in general. It's a must buy. It's a fantastic film, and I think it's kind of an influence on Argento too, because it came out before a lot of Argento's movies, and the use of color in lighting.
Yeah, some of the shots I've seen from it that look freaking fantastic. And I don't know, Aiden's comment here kind of backs what you said there to a degree. It's like a mix of Suspiria and Scream.
Well, it has kind of the whodunit element, but that's really old giallos too, you know.
Oh yeah,
that's really what a giallo is. A giallo is a whodunit slasher. That's what it is. That's what giallos are. Whodunit slashers and they have, you know, they make sure to add in some nice sexuality and make sure you get your hot women. Hopefully some sex and some TNA. And who doesn't like that? You know?
I mean, sometimes I'm shallow. If a movie teases at it heavily and then doesn't deliver, I will walk away mad and ask for a refund for a movie that came out before I was born.
Is
Like,
that,
I want my money
now,
back.
is that how you are on a date? If she teases all night and then says no, do you say, you know what? The money I paid for your dinner, I want that money back. You can Zelle me.
It depends. It depends on what kind of girl she is. If she comes off as being
here coming up here, real quick, here is the trampoline spot, I believe, here. And we're gonna go back to your dates. Don't worry, I'm not letting you get away with that one. But I want to make sure you see the trampoline spot here. It should be coming up any moment here. The whole point of this here is to kind of get these trucks and to barricade the entries into the mall.
right.
And they're coming, all right.
I feel like in a small way, that's like another thing they kind of slightly, sort of, not really utilized in the remake was just them backing a semi into the docking bay.
I don't think it might have been one of those, but I don't think so. I'm gonna send you the screenshot of it when we get out of here, and we're done with the stream. But yeah, you know what? So I guess it just depends on the girl, right? If she doesn't delay, it depends on how the date goes. And
yeah, like it's all about context, really. Yes. I mean, like say, because I'm the type I like to watch a movie with a girl, kind of get a feel, like see what she likes, talk to her before going to a movie. And depending on how handsy she gets in the theater, it's like, okay, you're giving like way too many signs, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really all about context.
That's it.
But no, I try to be classy on the first date.
You can't, you can't pull a horse to water and then not let him take a sip.
Damn right.
Oh well, I'll clarify because I know people get upset. You can do whatever you want, but it was preferable that don't put our mouth on the water and then say you can't drink.
Right.
Rather just not. I don't even want to be taken to the water then if that's the case.
It's like I'll wait for the rain.
Yeah. Exactly. Flyboy here. He's kind of starting to get a little tough. Trying, Unfortunately, Roger is not thinking straight. He doesn't have all his faculties, as they say. And it's going to be his demise here. Coming up shortly.
The engine's running, but there's no one behind the wheel.
That's right. Uh-oh. Hooked on the fire extinguisher.
Come on, Flyboy, you got this. Get Roger out of there, God damn it. Oh, come on, Roger.
No. Don't worry. Peter will be there to save the day. Briefly, anyway.
Again, this is another one where I always try to get that different outcome for these characters.
Yeah. He yells, "Get your head down, Roger. Get it down." Oh. You can see this is when he really starts to lose it. You'll see right after the headshot. Great headshot, too. He realizes how close he was to getting killed.
Right.
You can just look at his face. You talked about earlier his expressions by acting, by not even saying anything. You can tell he's gone.
Yeah, he's.
And he he turns to Peter and he's like, "We got this, man. We got this." And you can tell like Peter's like, "No." He grabs him. He's like, "You're messing with my life too. Like, get your shit together, bro."
We got this by the ass.
Yeah, you see him his face. He's gone. He's lost at this point.
I feel like he could play very well in a silent film.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, just with the way he acts with his face. I don't know if the actor's still, if he still has that natural oomph to his face, but I don't know. I don't think I've seen him in a whole lot of other films here, but so that trampoline would be here, or did we already miss that?
I'm trying to see. I think we might have just missed it.
Really trying to see that. Like sometimes I like to see those magic ruining moments.
Yeah.
Like just for the laugh factor, really.
You could also tell how this is. It's coming up here, I think. Look at that, ran right over that body. Backwards end. And maybe we'll see it. I'll point it out if we see it. But you can tell this is one of those things where there was no CGI, because when you see all the zombies, there's a decent amount, but there's so much land that there's no zombies, where if there was CGI, they would just multiply it and give you, hundreds more.
Yeah. Like that's where it really loses its integrity.
Yeah.
Like I respect the hard work that went into a lot of these older films. And we all.
Here it is. Here, I think coming up here is Roger, right? Look at Fran. This is we talked about the character arc of the strong woman not needing the man. See, he forgot his other bag with all of his tools and shit in the other truck. So Peter's got to set him straight. It's like you're not just messing with your life, man. You got my life too.
Yeah, Ken's fucking pretty good with the verbal acting, like the non-vocal.
Yeah, they. I think they have good chemistry together. The whole cast really worked well together.
Oh yeah.
A lot of them were like local actors, local community actors. They worked at a restaurant together. I know Flyboy worked at a little bar restaurant called Lady Astor's in Pennsylvania, and he was kind of doing that full time and then doing this on the side.
Interesting. Oh, damn it, Roger.
I always, every time I watch this movie, this is the one scene where I'm like, I really wish it didn't happen.
Right. That's kind of how I've been feeling for the last 10 minutes too. Like, come on, Roger, you can make it out of this one. All right, crew picked up.
It's coming up here.
Crew picked up on his little slip from last week. Ken was only 29 or 30 in this one. Born in 48, didn't butcher it this time. Where he got I think he got Dwayne Jones wrong by a few years last week.
Yes.
Right. But yes, Zombie, and then Most Extreme New York Ripper. Yes. In regards to Fulci, I don't know how y'all feel about New York Ripper, but I, for some reason, unabashedly adore that one.
Yeah, that's a good flick. That's a good one. Fulci's movies are very, it's just straight gore.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
They're
a lot more like
definitely
style over substance.
yeah, it's one of the more straight up out of the like I think they're sort of referred to as the big three of the Giallo. You got Argento, Bava, and Fulci.
Yes.
And I like Fulci's approach because it's just straight up in your face. It's
Mm-hmm.
not too complicated, and I appreciate it for that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for all of its controversy and probably the controversy that I actually put it in my top 10 non-franchise slasher list. I freaking adore it. I mean, I put it in my top 10 non-franchise, so that goes and says something, right?
Very true. Yeah.
It's a aesthetically freaking gorgeous film.
Yeah, I have I think it's the Blue Underground release, the Blu-ray of it. New York Ripper. Yeah. I have it with City of the Living Dead and Zombie and a few of his others.
Yeah, City of the Living Dead I remember liking. Only saw that one once, so I'm definitely due for a revisit on that one.
Yeah.
I thought I saw another one. Can't think of it.
So there's a lot of that 70s stuff is good, man.
Oh yeah. I really like the lighting in the hunting shop here.
Yeah.
Like it's almost
This
that
was
off.
I think this was actually outside of the mall.
No way.
Yeah, I'm gonna double check here. Yeah, it actually wasn't at the mall. It was it was outside of Pittsburgh that they shot it.
So freaking seamless too, and
Yeah, you wouldn't even know.
and Romero, I think, did edit this one too, right?
Oh yeah, fully edited by him.
That was just a seamless edit right there because it's like it looks like they're dead ass in the mall. Like
Yeah.
just the way he cuts them.
He does a great job.
With the zombies rattling at the gate.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last time too.
Oh yeah.
Where as good of director and writer that Romero was, he might have been just as good or even better of an editor.
Yeah, that might be his unsung talent. Of that trifecta there.
Like this is some of the stuff that's going on. Like we got Roger in a wheelbarrow. I mean, like that's just like that's wild. I mean, what a great shot! Like you'll see there, just the use of like the scope insert.
Oh yeah.
Like that's some cool shit, especially for '78.
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially thinking of it in terms of 78. Really, that changes almost everything about that shot.
Yeah.
Because like you look at it with a 21st century mindset, like, oh, that's easy. You just throw in the computer graphic over it. It's like, no, back then you kind of had to do some real world trickery with that.
Yeah.
In camera effect or post production, but it was sure as hell not a computer pulling that off for you. As much of a bummer as it is, I always did get a kick out of Roger in the wheelbarrow there.
Yeah. I love how they just like start the car that's on display in the mall instead of driving that around, and then we'll see eventually the pie fight and the biker gang. I mean, there's a lot of shit in this movie.
Yeah, the fucking biker scene. I love it, but after a while, I don't know. The pie fight is where I'm almost drawing the line. That's almost like the clown music in Halloween 5 to me. It's like, oh man.
Well, the bikers were so delusional, and so it was almost like they just didn't take it serious enough. They have the one guy like doing his blood pressure.
Yeah, that I can get behind. That's perfect joke. Especially when, well, we'll get there, but when it starts going off, beep 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 beep, like that's freaking genius. Of course, Savini is the lead biker. Is
Yes.
great casting choice. I mean, that outside of Sex Machine from Dusk Till Dawn, I think Blades is the role that he was born to play.
And he kind of has a quick cameo as Blade in Land of the Dead.
Yes. Like, it's funny, too, because, like, I always... That quick cameo, because I saw Land before I saw this one. And I saw Land even before I fully was aware who Savini was.
Yeah.
Mind you, I was a 10-year-old kid when that came out, but... When I saw... Say again?
You make me feel old.
I'm sorry, man. You're what, like 5 years older than me?
I will be 37 in August.
You're not that much older than me. You're not that much older than I am. But
we're only as old as we feel, right?
Damn right. That is damn right. But yeah, his cameo in Land of the Dead always really stuck out to me there. Like,
yeah.
It's like, I don't know why, but I feel like this zombie's important, even though he just uses a machete right here. I feel there's something more to him. And lo and behold, it's Tom Savini playing his old character from here, which is pure proof that, yes, these movies are all connected.
Yes.
Like, if you had any doubt in your mind, that's the straw that breaks the camel's back in terms of continuity there.
Correct. Poor Roger. It's painful to watch sometimes. You feel bad for the guy.
Yeah. Like, watching Roger go through all this pain, it's almost on the same level as when Judy got stuck in the freaking truck.
Yes.
When her damn jacket got caught.
I agree with that.
Only they milk it this time.
Yeah.
They milk it and make you feel even worse about it. Yeah, like even that shot, like from right outside the car, you see Roger with his head on the steering wheel.
Yeah,
you can feel his pain there, and it doesn't. He's not even the focus of that shot. He's in the mid part of the shot, and it. I don't know. You still kind of feel his pain there.
well, he's hanging in there. It's almost like he's realizing. He by the time he starts to realize that he messed up, it was too late.
Really cements him as being a tragic hero, or
yes,
definitely a tragic hero.
Sad but true.
God, Flyboy looks like such a freaking geek.
He really does.
Like I
when
never
you see him celebrate too, like the way he celebrates when they cheer on certain stuff in the movie, like he's really goofy. It's like ooh, great shot there.
I'm surprised he's not one of those guys who does this old number. Put the hands together and shake them on the side. Ha 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 ha. See Peter being not Peter. This is why I call him Flyboy, because I can never remember his name. Steven.
I love this moment. It's almost like she's having eye contact with this zombie, and it's almost like she's seeing that there's still something there in his eyes. You know, something human there.
And there, that is a nice little moment. I really do think so. And there was one that actually passed a little while back that I wanted to point out, but got distracted. There's a nun zombie walking by her.
Oh yes, where she almost.
There's a really tense moment where they're like locking eyes with each other, and I don't know if that was intentional or anything. I mean,
okay,
it
so
kind of was.
Yeah, there is. But she talks about that in one of these documentaries where there's a scene like the nun's walking by and part of her, or I guess all the zombies, I guess, kind of converge and they close the doors and all the zombies walked away. But the nun zombie, as she was trying to walk away, part of her habit, you know, the nun habit was caught. and she opens the door slightly to let her go. And that was supposed to be her way of saying, yeah, she's a zombie, but like she was like a religious lady. She probably didn't hurt anybody in her lifetime. Like the least I can do is,
Right. Like I thought they were like again, kind of like last week. It's like maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but it's like in some sense they both lost a bit of their pure essence.
Yeah.
Where, of course, the nun being a woman of faith, she's now a dead walking organism. No longer has that purity. Franny being pregnant in the eyes of I don't know, cinema fans, I guess we look at that. Oh well, she had sex and she's pregnant. She's a sinner.
Yeah.
If we're taking that visual approach, I don't know. There was like that weird connection between them on that level. Again, probably just looking for something to point out, but
now great. See if you agree with me with this Flyboy. Now Fran seems like Franny. She's cute. She's nice, right? Attractive lady. Flyboy. I'll say he tops out at 30, maybe 30, 40 seconds, and that was it for him. I don't even think he can go a minute. No way.
Yeah, I think Flyboy doesn't have to do with his ability to fly a helicopter.
I have a feeling that Flyboy cries after and needs to be the little spoon.
Oh, shit.
I have a feeling that, 35, 40 seconds, he's crying and apologizing. And Francis gives him it's fine.
That disappointed eye roll.
Kind of, I can see him crawling up as like a fetus, and she just kind of looks at him like, what am I doing with you?
I wonder, and here's me showing that all movies are connected at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I wonder if 15 years ago, perhaps, Flyboy was visiting his girlfriend back in, say, 1963.
Oh, yeah.
And goes upstairs with her. By the time girl's little brother comes in, he's already on his way out. Thank you. Yeah, I'll call you tomorrow. What if Flyboy was Judith's boyfriend in Halloween?
Oh, ooh, right?
It's a possibility off of like with that in mind.
That's right. That didn't last very long at all. But I mean, look, you saw what Judith looked like with no top on. Forget about it.
Oh yeah, somebody.
She's
I forget who the hell was saying it, but it was on Killer Flicks the other day. Like, in fact, I think you might have been in that comment.
If it had something to do with inappropriate,
it was Sandy Johnson in her prime. In all fairness, we all would bust that quick or something. But somebody was pointing out that, yeah, anybody notice the Judas boyfriend didn't last very long? It's like, yeah, that's a point of contention we all have with this film.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, yep, this is a thread that I'm just gonna have to roll through slowly and absorb all of its
Speaking
greatness.
of this, I'm gonna throw this out there before I forget. I was on Instagram a couple days ago, and Danielle Harris posted on her story, and she asked fans, would people be interested in a no nudity OnlyFans of hers? Now, listen, they all say that there would be no nudity. Okay, they all say that. But when the big bucks get thrown around, it's a whole different story. I know people, not close, but acquaintances, I guess you can say. Okay, and not just on the internet, but like just that I know in real life, who will say, "Oh, I'm just a little tease for a few dollars," and now $20 get you anything.
Yeah.
And I can't, no shame. because these and I swear I'm gonna put a bow on this. I've seen people, right, start that stuff like a year ago, and now they're posting pictures of brand new cars that they're in. So if you could self-invest and turn a profit, more power to you, hon. I'll cheer you for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a market, but fucking, I've thought about throwing myself out there too. Like, you know what? Fuck it. What's the worst that could happen?
That's right. That's
Like,
right. I
it's
don't
like
know. Like, I don't think it would work for us in a way that would work for a Daniel Harris or someone of comparable physical attributes.
that is true. But it's like fucking always could roll the dice there.
Yeah.
But it's like jokingly that feels like it sounds like my natural next step. I mean, look
Yeah.
at the name above us here. It would make sense. Just the but it's like, yeah, no. Like I would just do that on Patreon if I ever get to that point.
That's it.
Like get
And
to the
and,
top.
and the $20 a month tier.
It's like you get some kind of nude of your choice. It doesn't even have to be a nude.
That's it. See, I could die. No one would want to see me like that at all. So I wouldn't even wouldn't have that option. But more power to you, brother. Go for it.
Yeah, joking aside though. But
Do what you got to do.
if it pays the bills, right?
Here comes the big famous line of "There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk the earth." See, that's when Fran says, "Who are they? What are they?" And he says, Peter says, "They don't know why, but this is a special place to them." And we talked about this in the night stream, where there's kind of a subconscious of these zombies. That's why they're going to the mall, because that's what they did. They bought shit. That's the underlying themes of this film is greed, consumerism.
And you kind of get a little bit of it here in that montage that we just got out of. You see them kind of soaking up in it, and
yeah,
they
and
got
like look at Peter's coat. They're in this mall, and they have all this stuff, right?
And they're basically guarding it with their life and then some.
But does it mean anything in the scheme of things? No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
All right. It become that theme. Thank you for really getting to the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah.
Really comes into play when the bikers come in. Sure,
Yes.
that's a fun moment, but in a very serious, very underlying way, that's exactly what that struggle is at that point. I don't know. In some ways, it looks like it's poking at the make my day law, where like somebody comes into your house and are you willing to take someone else's life for your possessions? Like that kind of direction with the message here. Really just makes you think and just kind of look at humanity with a saddest of sad expressions.
I agree. It's tough, at the end of the day, stuff is stuff, you don't take it with you.
Damn right. And Soulless Trenchcoat here has a really good 2 cents on that. They have to lose a friend and the mall to realize that none of it even matters.
You don't realize what you have until it's gone, right?
That is true. I don't know if that would fall under the law of Murphy there, but it's one of those different laws of human thought. God, just seeing the dilapidation of Roger here.
Poor Roger. He's done, man. This is just great to watch, though. He's really... As far as acting performance, I think it's fair to say he does the best job of everybody because he's got so much more to work with. I think
Oh yeah. And sorry for missing that one earlier, Aiden. I meant to come back to you on that. Do you think Land, Diary, and Survival are underrated?
Land, yes. It kind of gets thrown away, and it came out. Problem with that too is that like he had a script for Land, which was originally going to be called Dead Reckoning, which is the name of the big vehicle that they use in the movie that that fights the zombies and stuff. He had that script written before even 9/11 happened, and he just couldn't get it made, and he finally was able to get it made after the popularity of these remakes and the Dawn remake. The Dawn remake came out a year before Land of the Dead. So the Dawn remake was 2004 and Land of the Dead came out in 2005. And I think a lot of people got into just loving the Dawn remake, and that when George's movie came out, it was like, oh, we've already seen a movie like that. And it sucks, and it's ironic that one of the reasons why George's movie didn't get the respect that it deserved was because of a remake of one of his films. It's like shit.
Yeah, that God, it's like, can you spell "screwed the pooch" there?
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Like, but yeah, I definitely agree. Like Robbie said, Land of the Dead, super underrated. It deserves more love, and I'm glad to see that people are finally waking up and realizing that it's freaking great. As for the other two, I honestly haven't seen them.
Okay. So, Diary of the Dead is fun. It basically Diary of the Dead. Let's just watch this scene here. This is Rogers. Officially, he's done, and we get on the makeup in the movie. This is pretty solid work, though.
Yeah, like I could probably easily do a top 5 makeup jobs out of this film. Like there are some good ones.
Yeah, I think we're talking. We poke fun at the more.
It's the mass. It's the group of zombies, really, the hordes that look funny.
And this is just what I just picked this up too. We talked about it earlier, where when we saw the suicide of that young police kid, SWAT team guy, and as the bullet got shot, we saw Rogers' face as the shot went off, right? And now, as he gets shot in the head, we hear the sound, but it cuts to Fran's face. So it's almost kind of the play on how they handled that.
Right.
But back to Diary. Night, Dawn, Day, and Land all tied together. Not necessarily character-wise, but,
the overarching
Night
narrative.
of the Living Dead is kind of the first wave of the zombie apocalypse, but it just happens to take place in the 60s. This film is what happens during the second wave of the zombie apocalypse, if it happened in the 70s. Day of the Dead is the third wave, if it happened in the 80s. And Land is the fourth and final wave in the early to mid 2000s. Diary is the first wave again, but done in the late 2000s, mid to late 2000s. So it doesn't really even tie in structurally. Right. Survival is essentially a spin-off of Diary. It's the first time that a character from a previous film ends up in a sequel. So if you want to watch kind of Romero's films, you watch Night, Dawn, Day, and Land. That's separate. And then you just do Diary and Survival. I think Diary and Survival are fine. Probably maybe a little better than people give them credit for, because they really, especially Survival, really get shit on bad. It's not a great film by any means, but it's not terrible like that people make it out to be. We talked about how Day of the Dead was George's favorite of all his zombie films. Number 2, Survival.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, since the old man gave it his seal of approval, that I got to pull my head out of my ass and check it out. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit last week. My main issue with Survival or not Survival, but Diary, and again, funny because I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
is the found footage approach.
Mhm.
I was never a fan of the found footage craze.
Yeah.
Like the shaky cam, the whole nine of it. Just I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I mean, I appreciate it, but it's not my go-to by any stretch of the imagination. Um,
Yeah.
that might be one reason why I've had such a hard time trying to get around to watching that one.
It's a little easier to get through than a normal found footage movie, I think. Um, that she even talks about. She goes, "What I did." The girl who's narrating this says, to make it easier for people to watch, the following footage was taken with some of a couple of our cameras. I even added some music and sound effects to hammer home. That was George's way of saying, I'm going to do some found footage, but I got to make a movie or two. So when you watch
Okay.
it, you do get some music, you do get some little extra stuff, and it's explained away, maybe a little lazy, you know. Uh,
Well, I
there's
mean,
some fun moments.
I'll give it a chance because I mean, you said George Romero says it's his number two.
That's Survival, not Diary. Yeah.
Oh, Survival.
Yes, Survival is a straight up movie. That's not found footage at all.
All right. Oh, what is up, James Grimm? Um, I don't know if it happened yet, but I know that James is gonna be. I hope I'm not mistaken here, but kicking a second. Um. Oh fuck! I forgot the word. A second Indiegogo a second campaign for My Special Boy, and if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be doing a second part of the campaign for that.
Oh,
If
really?
that is
Okay.
so, definitely go and contribute to that, folks, because there's a lot of promise in this young man. I like what he has coming up because basically he's doing the more or less a direct sequel to the original Friday
Okay.
and bringing back Sackhead Jason. It's definitely worth contributing to because one, it makes you feel great. You're supporting indie films and you're helping a Friday the 13th film get made for crying out loud.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
especially I know a lot of people do. We get a lot of Halloween stuff too. Um, I'm more partial to the Friday 13th fan stuff because, with all due respect to the Halloween fan films that we've been getting, we're getting regular Halloween movies.
right.
Like, it's already there. Like, so I
There's
get it,
almost no market for it.
but like with Friday the 13th, like there's no end in sight. Like this lawsuit's going on even more. I think it's like Sean S. Cunningham is now, I think he's suing. He's doing another lawsuit because he wants lost royalties. So who knows when we're getting another Friday movie? So people are going to put out quality fan films, and it's going to be, of these popular franchises. Uh, going to Friday the 13th is a pretty fun way since we're not getting anything else. Um, yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that. Um, I know there's a Chucky one coming out soon too, or I think called Charles. That was
Yes.
cool. Uh, it would be fun if a lot of these filmmakers expanded out of just Friday the 13th and Halloween though, and gave us fan films from other genres or
Yeah.
other franchises. Right? Give me shit, man. I want to see. Give me a good Children of the Corn, man. Give me something like that.
Yeah. I had I did a review a while back for Bloody Birthday, and
Oh, that's fun. That's a wild one.
somebody posted in the comments how they would like to see a follow up to that. I'm like, let's not talk about this too loud so the rest of the internet hears it, right? What we're gonna want to do, and this is Horrorhead Heather, by the way, so I'm giving her full credit right off the bat. But she just kind of gave a general synopsis of how she would execute that. I'm like, okay, we're not going to try and reach out to anybody to make this, but I'll start writing down ideas for where this could go because I really like the idea. I mean,
Yeah.
picking it up as basically a direct sequel using that Halloween 2018 formula, of course, because of the amount of time that's gone by. That's the only direction you can take with it.
Correct.
But it follows with the kids as adults. And of course, I don't know if you did see that film, but it's just
Bloody Birthday.
yes.
Yeah, I own it.
Okay, so there's going to be no spoiler here. I mean, spoilers to anyone who hasn't seen Bloody Birthday. The girl, of course, gets away in the end. The little girl,
Yeah.
like she's off living the good life, right? One or both of the boys get out of custody after 40 years. Why not? And they meet up on, and that's the part where I'm kind of drawn. It's like, are they going to fight or team back up? Because I think it would be interesting to see them duke it out.
They can go in different directions. Yeah.
Like Curtis, like, because I figured Curtis was probably the most interesting of the kids there, the one with the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he comes out, he's freaking bitter about being locked up for 40 years for her throwing him under the bus like that, right?
Yeah.
And maybe she's trying to live a normal life, but she's still a manipulative little psychopath. Real quick, isn't one of these guys Tasso?
Yes. Not this guy here, but he's part of the gang. You'll see. He's the one that gets his whole guts and chest ripped completely out.
Okay.
Like ripped in, like they really like rip everything apart and start eating inside him. I'll point them out when we see him.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll recognize him too as soon as I see him.
Speaking of Friday the 13th, Tasso was Mrs. Voorhees' hairy knuckles.
Oh
you
yeah.
See her get decapitated and she's just going like this. That's not Betsy Palmer. That's Tasso.
and even the Kevin Bacon bit too, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it though when fucking they're doing the radio talk and that one guy just keeps repeating him. Like I have my volume kind of down here just so we kind of have to keep the volume down on this one because it's
copyright.
This one does have copyright claim. We could have went
which is crazy because you can go on YouTube and you can watch the full movie in perfect like Blu-ray quality, and they haven't taken it down. It's been up for a long time. But just in case.
Just in case, folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I kind of forget the exact exchange, but I just love it the way the one guy keeps repeating him as he's talking, saying this and that. He's like, and bang. Like just repeating the focal word of whatever the phrase was.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since I watched this one in full, but of course, getting distracted in the conversation, I tend to forget what they're saying on screen.
It's wild, man. These people were actually these are not actors. These were a real biker gang that Tom Savini and his buddies just kind of like they just added them to it. But these were real bikers with their real bikes, and they drove into the mall. Like they didn't have the money to like buy all like bikes and shit. Like that's pretty awesome, I think.
Oh yeah, it's God, that almost sounds like a fucking liability too, though.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Fright Night Part 2 is still on YouTube. That's sad. It needs a collector's edition Blu-ray because it's great.
Jeez, I think I saw it for the original Fright Night once forever ago. I have it here on Blu-ray, and then I think I have either the remake or the sequel to the remake somewhere. I don't know. There's so much shit.
Real quick. Second teaser dropping this Friday, James. Yes, this Friday. Also a new teaser. Awesome.
And anytime anybody that are part of like the Facebook groups or who have fellow YouTube channels, anyone that's putting these like films together, man, if they, we can get them up in a live stream and we can all just kind of shoot the shit. And the more promotion for these, the better,
Oh yeah, and James is one of the guys that like I've come to know better than I know some other ones. So he's definitely always going to be getting a shout out. Plus, I have a lot of faith in what he's doing, and fucking all around great guy to talk to. Really great guy.
That's good.
Our biker attack scene is great, so fun. Damn right, Trenchy. It is fun. It almost goes overboard for me in a couple of places, but I I mostly do enjoy the biker bit. I mean, fucking hell, Tom Savini. That's all you have to say. That makes it great.
Absolutely.
And then knowing that these are real bikers, it actually makes a lot of sense because that's what bikers looked like in the 70s. It's
Yeah.
not the Hollywood interpretation. It's like, yeah, these guys look kind of legit and scary. Great attention to detail. No, they look kind of scary because they're real scary bikers. Damn
Yeah.
it. Here's where you really see the social greed of our protagonists. What remain of them.
Yeah, it gets rough here. This is so fun though. Like, what if they had everything for themselves and the shit just hits the fan? They said this was so much fun to shoot. Just a wild ride, man, and just hoping that nobody caused too much damage.
Right? Fucking like that's the thing I'm thinking about the most is like just that the responsibility of having all that shit.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, this in a lot of ways the scene does raise the kind of the social question. How would y'all in the chat react if y'all were the ones who were taking refuge here at the mall? Would you attack the bikers for coming in and stealing your shit, or would you be wise enough to know that hey, the shit's not even ours? Here we go, we're getting goofy. But would you be wise enough to know that hey,
Here comes the
we
pies.
this is this is all irrelevant shit we don't need, and there's going to be more of it. They can't possibly take all of it. Would you be able to just appreciate how good you already have it and let them take what they want? I don't know. Question of the day for you guys. You know, that Jester Circus music too, kind of.
The elevator music, yeah. I think it, but because of what George's like vision was, it works. It's
That's
supposed to be goofy and silly at times, and I think that music kind of works with it.
yeah.
It. Ooh, see, this is when he fucks up, man. Like, this is when it all goes downhill because they had to, for me to answer your question for the chat, I would have. We had all of our shit, right?
Right.
Just watch and barricade the one door. These bikers are going to storm through here, cause havoc for an hour or so, and get the fuck out.
Yeah. And see when you put it that way, just watch and barricade the one door. It almost harkens back to the little argument of the last film,
Yeah,
fighting
upstairs,
over upstairs,
downstairs.
downstairs.
Yep.
Like it's a different degree and capacity here, but still plays with that argument just a wee bit.
Whoa, Savini. I love. Okay, this shot is cool. See how he does this with the machete. This looks so cool the way they do it.
Yeah.
The way they shot that, it was all done in reverse. The blade was cut so it would go over his head like this, and he had it here, and he pulled it off, and
Ah,
just played it in reverse to make it look like it was going right into his head.
okay.
Yeah. Oh,
And that actually makes a lot of sense. God, Savini's such a fucking badass, man.
oh yeah. Keeps himself in great shape. I met him, and I don't know. Seemed like he didn't want to be there. I was so excited to meet him. It was the day I met Romero, and he was just very like. I've heard, mixed things. You know.
Well, that's kind of a bummer, though.
Yeah. I tried. I always. Oh, they said that hurt Savini because that was real hard glass.
Ooh.
Yeah. Um, I like to try to just say to myself, you know what? Maybe he was just having a bad day.
Right. Yeah. It's
We all have bad days, and it wasn't like he was nasty and rude. He just seemed very disinterested. And I've heard from other people. It's interesting. I'll talk to guys that have met him, and they'll say the same thing. And I'll talk to girls who have met him and say he was so nice.
Oh man.
Like, get these guys on. Bring me the hot chicks.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, you'll see that. I'll see some of the the horror Instagram girls. I met Tom Savini and he was so nice. Yeah, because you're hardly wearing anything and your tits are popping out all over the place. No wonder
right.
it's fucking idea.
It's like you see that all day, and I mean, you're as old as he is.
Yeah,
It's like, yes, bring me that. Bring me that. It makes me feel young again.
yeah.
Bring me that. But so long as he wasn't nasty and didn't ruin the experience.
No. It's all These
It's
guys
like-
are doing these things. They're talking to how many people constantly all day. If you have a
Right.
bad day, I'm not gonna discredit that.
Right. So far into the day, it's like, oh, I'll give you that. I don't know if you can use that phrase today.
A lot you couldn't say then. Unfortunately, a lot of times too. I mean, this is by no means excusing behavior, language, or anything, but I think a lot of times today, people get a little too outraged over just language, as opposed to the context in which it's used. That's just me, you know.
I
think we talked about some of this kind of stuff last time.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was during the stream or after, though. I mean,
No, I think it was during when we talked about Stranger Things, how there was the big outrage over one of the kids smoking, and then they couldn't use it anymore, even though that's what kids did. Got to get over it, I'm gonna try to point out Tasso to you coming up soon. We just saw him before. This is poor Flyboy. Oh,
God.
Oh, that's Tasso.
Yep. Running around looking like freaking Gallagher's cousin.
Yep. And here's Savini. He took this bump himself. I'm talking. He took that. This was him. That you'll see. That's him. Boom. So how they really did that? They just stacked up mattresses, mattresses, and he totally took the fall and landed right on it. And I think he did it twice.
Whew.
And that was him. Yeah, he took that hit himself. And that's Tasso. And you know what? Like we said, we goof on some of the plain makeup of these zombies, but the guts and the gore of the scenes here where you see some of these people getting ripped apart is good stuff.
Oh yeah.
I'm CG can look good sometimes, but there's nothing better than practical effects because it's right there in your mind, even some subconsciously. It's not. It's a computer. When it's practical effects, it's legit. This guy this guy was an idiot who deserved everything he gets. In the middle of all this, you stop to get your blood pressure done.
Right.
But we're gonna see Tasso here in a moment. Totally get ripped apart.
This is like one of the greatest joke in a horror film, I think. Like visual joke. And those guys at the heart monitor there.
Yeah. Oh man, look at that. How great is that? Here's Tasso, and this looks so good. You'll see when Tasso gets dismembered here.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. How great is that?
Oh yeah. Just
nothing funny about that, man.
The only funny thing in there, I can justify some humor there.
Ugh.
And it's funny that Tasso had a hand in making some of this gore.
Yes.
It's funny that it's
his own demise
backfired on him. Shite Drango, aka Dylan, love the content. Hey, thanks, man. How's it going tonight?
What we're gonna see here in a few minutes as the elevator opens up, and we see, unfortunately, Flyboy has died. George Romero had gone on the record multiple times to say that the zombie walk that he does here is the best he's ever seen. And I love this one moment we saw there. Finally, after all of this, which has been months now, they've been in this for months, right before Flyboy dies, he finally gets his head shot. He finally, too little too late, but he finally learned.
Right.
You'll see as Flyboy comes out of the elevator, just the way he's able to move his arm, and he's kind of has the gun by his fingers, kind of still. He does a great job. Romero said, like I said, he thought it was the best zombie walk he had ever seen, and I'd be hard pressed to disagree.
Oh yeah, and like for all the shit that we've been giving Flyboy to, there is definitely another great sense of loss to when he's dying here.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we were pretty hard on him there about a half hour ago.
We poke fun at him because he can't, hold his load long, and because he's kind of a dork. But he at the end of the day, he
was a good guy.
He gave up his life to try to help everybody, and not everyone would do that.
Oh, not at all. There we go.
Yeah. That's a good shot.
That's a nice shot of Ken right there too.
Yeah.
Up the stairwell.
A lot of those low angle shots. That's not, Romero's movies do that. They give you these angles and these shots that are not something you probably would learn at film school.
Oh, not at all.
In a typical Hollywood production, Can't believe we're almost at the end of the movie already. Can you believe that?
I know, it's crazy. It's it doesn't feel like we've been watching a 2-hour movie.
No, it flew
by.
It
really doesn't. It flew boy.
It flew boy. Yep. We got another question here in the chat.
It's just a general statement. Aiden loves Romero zombies. Flyboy zombie, Bub, and Big Daddy are his favorites. Yeah, I'm pretty hard pressed to disagree. I would add the cemetery zombie from Night, though, just if we want to go one per film.
Yeah, Big Daddy and Landon. Oh, look at that walk. Great stuff.
Oh yeah.
Eugene Clark is the name of Big Daddy. I I actually got a chance to meet him. I got his autograph, his 8x10 on the wall.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Right.
Probably in April, I'm thinking about getting to a convention finally. First time since all this nonsense went down. In April, Spooky Empire will be here in Orlando. So it was a good time to do a great job. If anyone is in the Florida area, I'd suggest checking that out. Look at it with the gun with Flyboy.
Oh,
Look at
yeah.
that, look at that walk. Look at the way his foot is, that right foot. How do you even do? I don't even know how you do that.
Right, you got to be double jointed and
Yeah.
immune to like 80% of pain that you would be feeling from that.
That's great. These zombies are really good, just character-wise. You can see the nurse zombie that we saw earlier. The escalator zombie is back.
Yeah. And here's where you really see it, though, folks. They were talking earlier about how it's the zombies' memories that bring them back.
Flyboy.
The way the memory fucking comes back and bites them in the ass.
Yep.
Not just a senseless bit of dialogue, but excuse me, it's very I think Chekhov's pistol is what they call that technique, where it's like, don't bring something up unless you plan on utilizing it later in the story.
Yes.
It's very much that. Like, you show a gun on the wall and you focus on it, make it a point to point out that it's there, you better make do with it.
Yes, 100% agree.
Like, I just love how that memory thing comes back into play here. Welcome back, Chris. For one, never leave me again. Don't you ever do that again. You hear me?
Oh, look, here's going to be the end of Flyboy.
Yes, it's hard to believe how quick it flew by, Chris. We were just talking about that.
Oh, what a great headshot.
God, that has to be heartbreaking for Fran, though. Like that, it's like, I don't know what hurts her more there, seeing that he's turned or seeing him turned and getting put out.
So this is where the original ending was going to kind of take from. With all this going on, Peter was supposed to take the gun and kill himself, shoot himself in the head.
Right.
And then Fran was going to put her head in the chopper blades and decapitate herself. And that's how the movie was going to end. A really dark and grim ending.
Yeah, like,
but Romero said, you know what, this movie is a little lighter, right? They've gone through all this. They had some fun with it. It had, once again, the same terms we use: comic booky, a little bit of a romp. It's a horror movie, but it's fun. He said, by having that type of a tone, I can't go and then have these two people kill themselves at the end of the movie. It's like not going to work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this scene here, you'll see Peter actually put the gun to his head, and you'll see the blades here spin. So that's when Fran supposed to lift her head up and kill herself, and Peter pulls the trigger. But instead, Peter doesn't pull the trigger here. You can see he's going to put the gun to his head here. He says,
right.
"Fuck it," and he starts beating ass and climbs to the roof instead. I'm happy with the decision that they made.
Oh yeah, like those of you, like, there's some people who know just how big I am and how much I really do enjoy those dark, dismal endings. Like, I am not opposed to that. Sometimes I will give a film a negative mark because I feel the ending is too happy given how dark the film was overall. And, like, I don't know, I think even that original ending would have been too much for this one.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, too, because Romero has always said that the whole point of making these horror movies is to kind of turn society upside down. So
right.
at the end of the movie, where you just return everything right side up, it kind of defeats the entire purpose. Now, even though Peter and Fran get away, you know, we aren't returning society right side up, though.
Right. It's like
people lived. Society is still screwed up. Life is still crazy. It's a down ending but it's just not as down as it could have been.
Right.
It is enough there where it's you can
It's like
leave this movie saying, oh, at least they made it, but shit really did hit the fan.
it's like, did they make it though? How did they really make it at the end of the day? Sure, they make it.
In
here.
my mind, they landed on the island that the survivors of Day of the Dead landed on. They were all together and they lived happily on that island together
until 1985.
Yeah, that's it.
So well, probably 84
here,
for them.
How much gas do they have left? She goes, maybe a half a tank, whatever she says, quarter of a tank, and it says, you know what? We're going to fly off into the sunset and go where we can.
Right.
I like to think that they survive all the way through. I like these characters. I love this movie. I think it's so much fun. I think it's got some scary moments, some gross out moments. I think it has some fun moments. I like a little comedy in my horror movies, even if it's serious, a little bit.
Right.
Because sometimes you need to lighten up a little bit after something so serious. The best example is the goofy cops in the original Last House on the Left. Because if I'm going to see a girl or two girls being forced to piss their pants, being forced to be raped, and really like up close, like there's a scene in Last House where it's kind of a close-up shot of Krug and Mary. He rapes Mary, and it's really this look on her face of, you see that he just busts a nut and he's done, and she's got like just full-on terror and horror in her face, and you feel dirty and disgusting and gross watching it, and you don't even know why you're watching it, but it's something about the film that you have to keep going. So to cut out of that and have this goofiness, right, of these cops, it's kind of silly,
right,
because of how tough and serious that those sexual assault rape scenes are. You kind of have to have a little bit of levity. You know what I mean? Now, Now, the goofy cops in Halloween 5 don't work because the horror that we see on screen, in my mind, is not horror enough to warrant a goofy cop.
Oh, not at all.
Where in Last House, it is.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that argument because, like you said, Last House is just it's so rough. It more than warrants those cops showing up. And in fact, I feel they should have gotten just a little bit more screen time.
Yeah, and and I just want to point out that the younger cop is Martin Kove, who people would know in Karate Kid and now Cobra Kai, who played the sensei. What's his name?
I forget his name in that, but he's the one who teaches Johnny to be a relentless dickhead. In
Marty Kove, I'll pull it up here. John Kreese.
Thank you.
Yeah, John Kreese.
But
it's funny. That's his first movie. You know?
Yeah, I remember watching that for the first time, and I'm like, it was bugging the piss out of me because I'm like looking at him. This cop looks so freaking familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. Sensei John Kreese, says Chris Snyder, right as we pointed out, or right as you pointed out, Robbie. But thank you, Chris. But yeah, I just remember being so freaking bugged by that because I'm like, I know this man from something, somewhere, and like I sit through the movie and I'm freaking like I'm shook up. There's like 3 movies that have really ever shooken me up to a degree, and one is Last House, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, and Maniac on its first watch kind of was the same, but like I watched them.
This one?
Like, yes. Like I watched that one first, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I watched these over the course of 2 days. I watched Maniac and Henry in the same day.
Yeah.
Kind of shook up by the end of that day. Like I had to stop Henry halfway through. And I came back to it. I just needed to go outside and breathe for a few minutes
Yeah,
at
tough
the
stuff.
home invasion scene.
Yeah.
But and next day I'm like, okay, let's go for another extreme horror film real quick. We watched the fun one, so we've worked our way up.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to watch Last House, and I'm thinking, okay, I've heard this is, in the words of Adam Marcus, the sickest movie ever made. Bad Adam Marcus impression for you guys, but I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. I'll be the judge of that. Play it. It's like, oh, this seems kind of nice at first. You know, you're meeting Mary. You got the nice folk music by David Hess playing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this seems like a nice, promising film. Remember, it's Last House on the Left, though. Oh, yeah. And once it starts getting to the real heavy shit, it's like, how far in am I? I hope this scene's over. I'm just kind of. This is back when it was on Netflix like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of have the scroll bar down at the bottom to where it's just kind of showing the shot where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, there's still like 5 or 10 more minutes of this shit.
It's heavy, man. It's heavy.
Dude, it does. And like, I really do appreciate the kind of bittersweet ending of that film.
Yeah,
Like,
it's rough. I think somebody mentioned in Killer Flicks, I think it was Brett Stewart who said it. Somebody asked a question about something in a horror movie that had to do with a mouth that really stuck with you. And I said that at the end, when the killers seek refuge in the house that turns out to be the parents of Mary, and then Mary's parents realize who they are because
right.
Junior, the heroin addicted son of Krug, has Mary's necklace on.
Yep.
That she takes Fred Weasel, they call him Weasel, it was his nickname, and kind of propositions him out by the house.
Oh yeah, that.
And then she starts going down on him. And literally the moment he finishes, she bites down, waits till he's as fully as much as he can go, bites down and bites off his wiener.
Yeah, talk about a scene that no matter how bad he is, like as a man, you can't help but watch that scene and feel like, no, God, no. Like you kind of clench your fists and do that little ape stand, you know?
Yeah, tough stuff.
Kinda
He
like,
actually, his real name was Fred Lincoln, and he went on to have a full-on career in porn movies. So there you go.
Yeah, I think, wasn't that like half of everyone's repertoire on that film? Like,
No,
at
I know
least the
he
cast.
was the only one. I know he definitely was.
I thought the girls had been involved with like at least softcore before they actually did Last House.
Maybe the friend, but not the main girl. Jeremy Rain was Sadie. That was Krug's girlfriend. She was actually married at one point to Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, I think I saw that in the documentary on the one that I have. Like, you get the interview with Fred. I think David had an interview on there.
Yep.
And of course, Jeremy had her bit.
Yeah.
And she said something about that. But yeah, that's crazy. 2 iconic characters from very iconic 70s films were married.
Yeah.
It was a pretty common thing back in the day, though.
That's it. They all hanging out, fooling around together. It's a great gig.
Nice. Oh yeah, great gig, kids.
That's it.
But yeah,
this was a lot of fun. Dawn of the Dead is a classic movie. It's it never gets old. There's a lot to talk about. I'm sure we could rewatch it and have a million other things to talk about watching it.
Oh yeah, and I will say, upon rewatch, like, because you remember last week after we finished Night, I was telling you, next week might be a little rough.
Yeah.
Like I told you point blank after the show, but
yeah,
I don't know. It treated me better than I was expecting. Like, because this is one that it fluctuates for me. It's sometimes I have issues with it, but this time it didn't really bother me so much where it normally would.
Yeah.
I'm
glad you enjoyed it.
Tonight's view, I still stand by it. Like I say it's a freaking masterpiece either way.
Yeah.
It's just my enjoyment factor is the fluctuating aspect of that. Tonight, it was really great.
Well, I'm glad
Really
you did
great.
that, man. I know, you know, when we do Day, that's the one that's a little darker. But when we talk about memorable kind of character performances, we got a lot to talk about with that one, man.
Yes, and that
A lot of, you know, that movie more than any of the others, I think has memorable characters. There are characters in Day of the Dead that really stand out on both sides, on the kind of the asshole army guys, the scientists, and the protagonists, and of course one very memorable zombie. So it's gonna be a lot. That's gonna be a good one. That's it. Yeah, I have my I don't know. I got around here somewhere my Dawn of the Dead shirt. Oh, here we go. Day of the Dead, rather.
oh hell yeah, man, dude.
It says on the bottom, it says, "Return the salute, see what he does."
Oh man, that's freaking great.
That's it.
But yeah, Day of the Dead. Spoiler for next week, y'all. Day of the Dead is low key iconic.
Yeah, and it's finally getting the proper recognition. It's you know, when I see people, and this is, I hate to sound pretentious or anything, but when I see people post in any groups, Killer Flicks or anything, and they bring up zombies, they go, "Oh, what's your favorite zombie movie? Here's my," and then they show their letterbox, you know, of their top 10 or top 15 zombie movies.
Right.
If at least George Romero's opening trilogy is not in the top 10 minimum, top 7, top 5, I just go, I kind of, very pretentious to me. I just go like, ugh, these people don't know anything.
These fucking people. I don't blame you.
You know, if I don't see those 3 at least in the top 10, then I can't even have a credible, you know. And it sounds terrible. I sound like such an asshole saying that, and I know it, but it's true. Like, you got to have at least those 3 and Return of the Living Dead in the top 5, or it just feels like invalid.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And
No.
what really gets me is a lot of times I have to forget that I'm 36, going to be 37, and some of these people just haven't seen them, and that's
Right.
You can't have a movie on a list if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. No. It's funny because
that's fine, but it's when I'll ask, I'll say, "Did you see these Romero films? Did you watch Return of the Living Dead?"
Right. Try to ask them without sounding like you've got a bit of a chip growing on your shoulder. Like,
yes. Now if they say, "Well, I haven't seen it," then that's, look, you don't see it. You can't have a comment on it. But when I hear the responses of, "Oh yeah, I've seen it. It just wasn't good," and I'm like, really?
Yeah, that's when it's like, yeah, just fucking mind-boggling at
Like,
that point.
And look, listen, I know it makes me sound like snooty, and I understand that, but that's just how I feel. I'm not gonna lie about how I feel.
Yeah, I think we all have that kind of feeling there. I mean, like I totally back that.
Yeah, and you know what? I love talking about movies. I love talking to people who have different views than I do. It's fun. It gives engaging discussion. Maybe I can learn a thing or two by listening to them. Maybe they can learn a thing or two by listening to me. It's different strokes for different folks. I know, so I've seen people get so angry that they get into huge fights over movies. I've never done that. I won't do that. The only time that I ever acted like that over a movie, the conversation came up about Jaws, and Jaws is my favorite film of all time. My whole bathroom is Jaws themed. I have the posters in there. I have pictures
the shower curtain, if I'm not mistaken, too, huh?
Not the shower curtain, but I have a little bit of everything else. And there was like a girl, I think it was in Killer Flicks, but she was like shit talking Jaws, and I was like talking to her about it, and she was just talking about how much it sucked. that I actually blocked her. I was like, I don't need this fucking negativity in my life.
Yeah, like it's funny.
Can you believe I did that over a fucking movie?
No, I
I said, I don't need it.
that is pretty
And
crazy,
I don't
man.
remember who the girl was, but it's a good-looking girl too. I said, you might look good, honey, but I don't need this bullshit in my fucking life.
It's like you don't like Jaws. I can't trust you.
So I can't have that in my aura.
It's funny you say that though.
Like being someone who's really into movies and into TV and into entertainment, like I always tell people, I say, I always kind of like look at my life through my lens, like I'm the star of the TV show.
Right.
And I have people who sometimes they stay around for a season or two and then they're gone. Sometimes I got people in my life who are main character for a while,
Get the regulars supporting.
Yeah. Then they kind of just reoccur every once in a while. But people like that, you're not even going to make a cameo appearance. You're not even going to be an extra in the background. You got to get the fuck out.
It's like you get that mention.
That's it.
Like you have your name written in the background.
That's where you top out.
But yeah, no, it's funny you say that about Jaws because, like, I'm not gonna lie, I saw that I think for the first time about a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. Believe me, I kicked myself in the ass for that. But it was like a couple days before I saw it. Like I was getting ready to watch it, and somebody on Killer Flicks was, because you remember how a couple years ago on there people were doing the kind of unpopular opinions or cringe posts, like just to get reactions. Like somebody said something about, I haven't seen Jaws and I don't know what all the hype is about. And all I commented on there was like, I was the first comment, and I said, yeah, I haven't seen it either, but I'm about to check it. I have no opinion to offer, but
yeah,
I'm giving my 2 cents to that. Well, my phone is going off for the next hour, just notifications, because apparently it just hooked onto that post. And it got turned into a war zone. They actually turned off commenting on that little post.
Wow.
But it was getting hateful in that chat. Like,
yeah, some people get really fucking mad about shit.
Like someone was like, you guys have no right to talk about a movie if you haven't seen it. It's like, whoa, I just said I'm trying to right my wrong. I'm getting out of here. I just post, like, and comment here. Don't eat me, guys.
That's wild. What are you gonna do? You know what? Some people get too upset.
All right. Real quick, I think this is in regards to your Jaws statement. Chris says he feels the same way about Saw. If you don't like it, that's okay, but those movies mean so much. People would understand them the way he did and would hopefully see them differently.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that, because a couple of months ago I did a live stream with another YouTube channel. And it was like kind of like general movies and TV entertainment. And I was the only one who really knew anything about horror.
Right.
And they wanted to do a live watch along for Saw. And a lot of people that were on the stream were, because it was like multiple guests, were kind of goofing on the movie. It was like, oh, it's a shitty little fucking horror movie. And like, I took it super serious. And I kind of was just spitting out shit about that movie. And by the end of it, they were like, yeah, maybe this movie's better than we thought.
Yeah, no shit.
Not,
Like,
oh, Chris was there?
Hell yeah.
Was he in that?
He might have been in the comments there.
Okay. So if he remembers that, yeah, I think, I did pretty well on that one. To try to that was for all of us. That was to rep the fucking horror community, man.
Yeah, that was
the continuity in the Saw franchise is amazing.
Oh yeah, it's I remember initially I was kind of like in and out with Saw as they were coming out, and I kind of saw them in a fucked up order, but eventually I got this was before Jigsaw came out. I got the 7-pack, binged them in like a day and a half, and it's like, you know what? These movies are much better than I've been giving them credit for, because
that's the only way to do them, man. That's the only way to do them.
As they were coming out, I became that contrarian type. It's like, well, everyone likes Saw. So I'm not liking this movie that's coming out every year. Plus, I can't keep up with it. So fuck these movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of
But
those series where, like, you can't just randomly put on part 5.
oh, absolutely not.
Like, if you are either going to commit yourself to an 8-movie binge, or you're not going to watch it.
100%. And
You know, and that's not. I mean, you can throw on Friday the 13th 6. You could put on Halloween 4. You can
right.
put Nightmare. You put on Nightmare 2 or Texas Chainsaw, whatever. You know.
Yeah, Saw. You need to go 1 through at least 7.
Because I've done binges of those 4, 5, 6 times probably in my life, and the newest one I did is during the pandemic. I did it, and while I was doing that, like, I still like part 3. Did this happen in 3? This happened in 5 and 6 or in 4? Like it kind of all blurs together. So
Yeah,
you know,
it's
you know.
Chris recently did actually a sick watch party series for the Saw films.
Mm.
And Chris freaking loves Saw. He's in our little circle. He is the go-to guy when it comes to Saw stuff. It's like, so hey, Chris, there's a question I have about Saw 3, and fucking he'll tell you everything about that question. You ask him one question, he'll tell you like
So
he'll bring up other questions that come around whatever the given question might be, you know. And
Saw
it's
3,
like,
right? You saying Saw 3?
yeah, just throwing that out there as like an example. Like,
speaking of the wife in Saw 3, the one that the doctor that they capture.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a solid 10 out of 10 too, bro.
Yeah.
Yep. I watching that again over the pandemic, and maybe it was because it had been months since I'm sitting there going, she's primo.
Oh yeah. I mean, she's no Amanda, but he has his PhD in Saw.
Very nice. I believe it's gonna be
Yes. Dr. Lynn Denlin. Yes, she is fucking gorgeous, but
yeah.
She is no Amanda. I repeat, she is not Amanda. I've had a thing for Shawnee Smith since I should have even been since before I was even cognizant of the fact that women affect your blood flow.
That's right.
Like I was just a little guy, and it's like she's pretty, and
I always thought she was cute in the Blob remake.
Like the one that really got me was The Stand.
Okay, yeah.
I was like 4 or 5 years old watching that, and I don't know. There was just something about her character, man. It just was like, that's what I want. I want one of those when I grow up. Like,
yeah.
It's like I didn't know what I was thinking, but I knew what I was thinking. You know, it's like
here's an interesting thing. We talked about, I think last time we brought up Carnival of Souls.
Yes.
I just looked at this now. I've never seen it. They remade the movie in '98. Shawnee Smith was one of the stars of that movie.
Well, that is reason for me to check out the remake.
Yeah, really. That's pretty wild.
I can only hope that the movie is as good as the 1962 version.
Oh, it's not at all. I don't know how much you want to go by Rotten Tomatoes and any of these things, but just to kind of give you a gauge, it has a 20% Rotten Tomatoes score. 20% Tomato Meter, which is the critics. And I always like to try to balance it, right?
Right.
Audience score 16%. And that's a 16% out of over 2,500 ratings, and then a 3.2 on IMDb. I'm the type where I like to make up my own mind, but that's a large sample size.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a resounding no for most, but then again, I'm a person who actually likes Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4, the one with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
I just enjoy that one for just how batshit crazy it is.
I watched that after the original, the part 4, the New Beginning, Next Generation rather, more than any of the other sequels, because it was always on HBO. And I remember I taped it off HBO onto a regular VHS when I was like in middle school. And I would watch it all the time. and it's so batshit crazy. Like, is it the best of the bunch? Is it the best? No, but like, it's fun though.
See, I have more fun with that than I do with. I'm not gonna say 2, but 3.
Okay,
Like,
see,
I
that's
wanted to
interesting.
like 3.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to like 3, but 4 I can get on board with a little more.
I became such a when I finally watched 3, I fell in love with it, and it's actually my favorite sequel in the whole franchise.
Really?
Yeah, and that's something you don't normally hear. That's kind of a movie that kind of gets forgotten about, and a lot of it is if anybody has the Texas Chainsaw 3 DVD or the Blu-ray, watch the documentary on it. That's on the disc. It's about a half hour long, and they talk about how the MPAA cut so much shit from that movie. They actually fired the director like right in the beginning of production or like right before it. His name is Jeff Burr, who did he did Stepfather 2, Pumpkinhead 2, a lot of this like sequel stuff. And then they had to bring him back on board because they couldn't find another director. And so much was getting cut out. And remember, this was 1990, so it was like made in 89. This is around the same time that like Friday the 13th, 7 and 8 were gutted.
Right.
Yeah, like so. But I love the characters. Ken Faree from Dawn of the Dead is in it.
Yep, and you got
William Butler, who was in the Night of the Living Dead remake in 1990, was in it.
Yes. Yeah,
and Viggo Mortensen is one of the stars in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got star power in its corner for sure, and it does have some fun characters, but
yeah, part 4 is just wacky though, so I totally get why you have fun with it.
I think it's just with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I don't know. I think before I saw part 3, it was just built up a certain way in my mind because I was to understand that it was basically the last horror movie to receive an X rating from the MPAA for violence.
Yes,
so,
that's
so
the way they kind of explained it. Unfortunately,
like they market that, like they fucking milk that, and I'm going into it thinking, okay, yeah, this is going to be super gory. Mind you, I'm like 18 checking this out for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was just so underwhelmed by it. Like, I wanted to like it. I even lied to myself for about a year thinking, yeah, this is actually top tier, but it's like I really don't fucking enjoy it at all.
Yeah, so here's the thing with that too. Like, there's 2 cuts. There's the rated R cut and then the unrated cut. Even the unrated cut is not that gory.
Yeah, it looked like
the reason why it's the same reason why Friday 13th New Beginning isn't that gory. They had all this stuff on film. They were forced to cut it out, and they never saved the prints.
Right.
So what was filmed for Texas Chainsaw 3, if that was never, if they saved all that and put that in, you would have got a lot more gore. Now, just to double down on, to kind of put a bow on that, a lot of people I've talked to have a similar answer that you do. Either you kind of went into it with such high expectations, but I think if people watch it just for what it is, that argument doesn't hold up as much. I think it's more the expectations that you have of having gore, because people will say, well, it's not that bloody, I don't like it. I like the original. Well, the original is not bloody at all either.
That's the understatement of the century, right there.
So if the argument is I don't like it because it doesn't have a lot of blood, then that argument means you don't like the original either. Now, if your argument is I had my expectations so high thinking it's going to have a lot of blood, and then it doesn't, and that was a letdown, that argument stands. There's 2 arguments.
Yeah, it's the latter there.
Yes.
The expectation was so high, and it's like, well, they oversold me a dry film.
Well, I have the Texas Chainsaw 3 poster on my wall, and even on top of it, to double down and agree with what you said, the most controversial horror film ever is finally here.
It's like, how are you going to market it that way and tease us like that?
Well, this was New Line's first crack at Texas Chainsaw.
Right.
They were hoping to piggyback off the success of Freddy. And there you go.
And this was like right before they picked up Jason, huh?
Yeah, or right around the same time. Yeah.
But,
Yeah, right before it. Yeah.
but I will give it this though. It has probably definitely one of my favorite Leatherface portrayals. Like,
Oh, I love it. There's a scene in there where one of the girls is kind of like creeping in and sees Leatherface, and he's playing with a toy, and it's kind of like you're supposed to see a picture and like type in
oh
what
yeah, the seeing spell.
yeah, the speak and spell, and it was supposed to be he sees a person, and he
Yes.
keeps trying to type in like
F
food,
O O D.
and he
That
gets
is
very frustrated because it keeps being wrong.
good. Yeah, that was freaking. See, I like that, and
That was
it
good.
kind of shows that Leatherface is still a simpler minded person, but
Yes.
he's still very fucking scary. And like a lot of it has to do with the guy who's portraying him there, because I heard that actor's like 6'3" roughly.
Yeah, R.J. Maholoff is his name. He was actually in I think one of the Hatchet movies.
Yeah, Hatchet 2, I believe.
Yeah,
Guy,
Hatchet 2. He was part of the crew that went to try to find Victor Crowley.
yeah, and I think he's the one who gets his head kicked off on the table there.
Yeah,
Big old scary looking dude. Scary looking
bald
dude.
guy with a big beard and goatee and all that.
I mean,
Hatchet 2. I love the Hatchet series. Hatchet 2, I think, might be my favorite. 1 and 2 are close, but I'll give it to 2 because it has my girlfriend Danielle Harris in it. My
future wife.
future OnlyFans star, maybe. Who knows?
Yes. For those of you just now tuning in and don't know what that means, check out the playback.
That's it.
But
We could hope.
we could hope. And how amazingly off topic we got tonight.
But that's what you gotta have fun with it. One
not
thing.
To say that's a bad thing. I love getting off topic.
As long as you refocus, you can come back to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's just sign off here in a minute. How much more time you got, Robbie?
Whatever, man.
I don't work tomorrow, so that is a very dangerous statement.
Yeah, I actually do have to get up early for work. I should think about that, but it is what it is. But I had a great time, man. This was fun. I can't wait for Day of the Dead.
Absolutely.
That's gonna be a real fun one. And for the folks watching who haven't seen Day of the Dead and want to see really good gore and blood, this is of all the Romero zombie films, this is the one that you're gonna point to where it has the heaviest focus on that.
Oh yeah.
The work that Tom Savini and his team do in regards to the special makeup effects is still unmatched in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
36 years later.
Like
is still fantastic.
It's not quite the opening shot, but it's essentially the title card shot. That shot alone, if I'm thinking correctly with placement, if that doesn't sell you on the film and what to expect zombie gore wise,
with yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Nothing will hook you in on that.
Yeah,
if that doesn't hook you guys, nothing will. But with that said, it's still worth checking out because it is part of it's part of Romero's legacy, and it is week 3 of the Feb Romero special.
That's
real quick before we sign off. Sorry to cut you off, Robbie. Anyway, what do you have coming up, Robbie?
Over the next month or so, I'm going to be working on a Halloween 2 review on the channel, a Bruiser review, and expect some more retro trailer reactions from my son and I. So what I do with him is I'll watch a trailer of a classic horror movie, followed by the trailer for its remake, and get the reaction of my son, who's 13, who's not really big into horror movies, so it's kind of him taking a look at it for the first time. And on top of just the trailer reaction, I also talk about the films itself, so it's not just the trailer. I'm not sure which I'll be deciding what we're going to be doing, but expect that it gets a pretty nice reaction. So Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie and Bruiser, and then some fun stuff with my son there as well.
Awesome, awesome. And guest spots you have coming up. I know you're going to be on Matt's channel here.
At the end of the month, yep. We're going to be looking at horror from the 2000s.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'll also be joined by Destiny, who is part of the whole Stream Demon deal, right?
Yes, Stream Demon power right there, man.
Yeah, and of course I'll be with her and Chris talking about 70s horror. So towards the end of the month, you'll get a show with me doing 70s horror, and then we'll fast forward to 2000s horror.
That is going to be 2 awesome shows.
And I'm also I also write for an online publication called The Entertainment Chronicle. I'm going to be getting a review out in the next couple of days for Saint Maud, which I just saw last night. It's a very interesting film. That's a dark film, not for everybody. But I'm going to do an actual written review for that. I have some horror articles that I do for them, and I also do a lot of pro wrestling reviews for that site as well. So,
all right.
So busy, keeping busy.
Awesome, awesome. We got a busy man here, folks. Well, 2 busy men.
That's it.
That is if you consider me human. Otherwise, we have a busy man and a busy entity. Early on, you could not tell if I was human, but now that I've grown into my natural self, yes, I'm clearly very much human. I don't get emotional, but anyway, I had a great stream with Robby tonight. We're going on 3 hours here. It does not feel like we've been on that long, but
not at all.
I've been up since 3 a.m. Mountain Time. That is almost a full 24 here. We will sign off with that. You guys have a great night. Thank you for joining us for Dawn of the Dead. Tune in next week, Thursday or Wednesday. We will determine that before the week is out.
Yep.
For Day of the Dead. And until then, go check out Robby's channel. Link in the description below. Stay tuned for all the content coming out here. It's going to be a busy month here at the end of February, guys. So keep your eyes open.
Thanks everyone for checking it out.
We will see you all next time.